We're going to be making fantasy football trades and submitting lineups, plus some ads, drops. We're going to do it all. However, first we need to go through all the injury updates that we've had from today because practice reports were actually pretty meaningful. So the Bucs just lost a guard for the rest of the season. Keep in mind, their star left tackle is also out as well. So it looks like the Bucs offensive line is seriously getting degraded as time goes on. The Commanders are going to err on the side of caution with Jaden Daniels for week 3. So if I hear that, plus we had a report earlier today as well saying that there's no way Jaden Daniels is practicing until on Friday at the very earliest, I would assume that you're not getting Jaden Daniels for week 3. If you had Daniels, I would look at picking up another quarterback. Zach Charbonnet does not practice on Wednesday. This is very notable because if Charbonnet were to miss, Kenneth Walker immediately jumps into being not only a top 10 running back in my rankings, but probably a borderline top 5 RB. At least if we've seen the efficiency, and surprisingly, you actually have the Seattle Seahawks this week against the New Orleans Saints projected out close to being like a top 5 offense according to sportsbooks. So Kenneth Walker, maybe an absolute jam this week. Will Shipley doesn't practice Wednesday. Will Shipley is effectively nothing. Get him off your team if you have him. Going through Ladd McConkey does not practice. There are a couple other guys that didn't practice either, such as Igbuka. So you had no Ladd and you had no Igbuka at practice this week. It will be something that we want to monitor, but you did have them playing on Monday, of course. So missing a Wednesday practice, this could just be them wanting to be 100% safe and also just treating it as if they needed an extra rest week. I'm going through and looking at our next injury update that's going to be important to monitor. It will be both the Indianapolis Colts, Tyler Warren and Josh Downs. Neither of them practice on Wednesday. So if either of these guys end up missing this week, Michael Pittman Jr. will all of a sudden fly up my rankings and be significantly more exciting. Jawan Jennings doesn't practice on Wednesday. Keep in mind, Jennings wasn't practicing last Wednesday either. This is a different injury, though, that he is dealing with. And then Purdy, quote unquote, has a chance to play week 3, which is very interesting. I would assume that Brock Purdy's probably not playing week 3. I would assume that you probably don't get Brock Purdy back until week 4 at the very earliest. But obviously that is very encouraging. And then going through and looking at any other updates, Dallas Goedert did practice. I'm actually a little bit upset. I cut Dallas Goedert in the Flock League, and based off how bad TJ Hawkinson looks at this point, I really want nothing to do with Hawk. I wish I had Dallas Goedert. Jalen Waddle is playing tomorrow, yet we don't know that. He's been limited in practice with the shoulder, so that's going to be something that is important to note here as well. So a lot of these injuries, again, I don't want to overreact. It's Wednesday. It could just be load management, but it will be super important to keep tabs on those players for the Thursday practices. But let's go ahead and let's dive into the teams that we have. These were submitted yesterday. I just opened up the questions that you can submit on the site. They should probably be open for the next 15 minutes or so. But I want to remind anybody that if you wanted to be able to get questions in for these streams, I would highly recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube tells you when we go live. So you can go ahead and you can get those questions in. But let's dive into this for Jones. Says, hey, Mason, been loving the content, man. I'm 0-2 with this roster and in need for some dire help. So we are currently 7th in the league analyzer. So it looks like we don't have a great team. We have 212 points scored. So we are second to last in this league with total points scored. So let's go ahead and let's pull this up. This is a 10-team format where you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. So the wide receiver depth is going to be meaningful here. Now, looking at what we have with the quarterback room, Baker Mayfield is obviously more exciting than a lot of quarterbacks that you have on the waiver wire most weeks. I will say that especially with this additional offensive line injury when he had already been suffering them, I don't think we can call Baker Mayfield like a must-start quarterback every single week, regardless of matchup in a 10-team league. Like for me, if we had an easy player to drop, Caleb Williams would actually be a very intriguing play considering how good the matchup is going up against a very, very bad Dallas Cowboys defense. But if you wanted to just roll a Baker, I'm not going to fault you for it. Going over to running back, we have Kyren, Kenneth Walker, Amari, and Hampton. So with the rookies like Hampton and Byshell Tuten, the expectation shouldn't be that you're starting them this week. I still think that Amari and Hampton, given the usage, isn't that far off from being a running back that you're going to start to jam. I mean, he played 66% of the snaps in week 2. He played 78% of the snaps in week 1. I think the snap rate would have been closer to 78% as well if it wasn't for the fumble near the end of the game that essentially just caused him to get taken out. Looking at what we've had with the receiving involvement, he's had 4 targets in the first 2 weeks. Like, I think Hampton's going to be fine in the long run. The issue, of course, is just going to be the fact that, like, in the short term, he hasn't shown us anything to get excited about putting him in our lineup this week for. And if you're 0-2, like, we need to start winning games right now. Looking at what we have with the Seattle backs, if Zach Charbonnet ends up missing this next week, that can almost be the best case scenario for you. What's hilarious is Zach Charbonnet just played 55% of the snaps. He scored 1 fantasy point in comparison to Kenneth Walker, on the other hand. Kenneth Walker played 35% of the snaps and was at 19. So Charbonnet, like, possibly missing time, if that were to happen, Kenneth Walker would turn into an absolute league winner here, and that could save you. Now we have Trey Benson, Ramadre, Byshell Tuten as running backs that obviously have roles in their respective offenses, but I would probably not start them absent of an injury to another running back in their backfield. Now going over and looking at what we have with our receivers, we have Jefferson, we have London, we have J-Mo, we have Pearsall, and we have Jordan Addison. 10-team format, so reasonably, you're not going to be able to sell Jordan Addison for anything. Tight end, we have Tyler Warren, who can jam every single week, outside of potentially this week if he ends up missing with a toe. So I would definitely make sure that you were going to be monitoring the practice reports tomorrow. And if Tyler Warren misses practice again, then in that case, we'll drop Byshell Tuten and we'll pick up Jake Ferguson. That way we can start Jake Ferguson in a good game environment against the Chicago Bears. In terms of trades that you could potentially make with this team, it's a league in which you start 8 guys. So realistically, we kind of need to hold on to the wide receiver depth. Looking at what we have with the running backs here as well, I'm not super excited for you to go out there and for you to sell Kyren Williams just because, again, Amari and Hampton's not viable right now. And if we were looking at what we have with, like, Amari and Hampton himself on the trade block, I would say if you could find somebody in your league that was smart enough to understand that Amari and Hampton is still set up to crush rest of season, like, I would be interested in selling Hampton on a team that's 0-2 where you just need points right now and you need to win. But my concern with me telling you to potentially go out there and try to sell him is, I think based off what we've had through the first 2 weeks, it would be naive to believe that you're going to get the value that you should for him. So I think in terms of trades, I don't see any sell high candidates on your team. And I don't see any, like, expendable assets where it's like, oh, okay, well, we know we can get a lot of value for this player. Let's go ahead and let's look to sell him. Like, what player that is not in our starting lineup right now could we sell for a decent penny? Like, what bench option could we package in a 2-for-1 deal to get an improvement somewhere? Which is what you need to do if you're 0-2. You need to find an improvement inside the starting lineup. Like, our starting lineup right now is Kyren, Walker, Jefferson, London, J-Mo, and then either Amari Hampton or Ricky Pearsall for that last flex spot, Baker at quarterback, Tyler Warren at tight end. Do we think we could sell Ricky Pearsall for a bunch? No, nobody's going to buy Pearsall from you in a 10-team league. Do we think we could sell Amari Hampton for much? I would throw him on the trade block. I'm not telling I do not want the vast majority of y'all to sell Hampton. I think Hampton's going to crush this season. But with him starting slow, if you're 0-2, I would understand it. Like, if this team that's 2-0 understands the true value of Amari and Hampton and would be willing to give you, like, Kamara for the combo of Hampton and Ricky Pearsall just so you can start winning games now, and then they could look at the long-term upside with Hampton, I think that would be very interesting, to be honest. But In reality, I think you just got to roll with the punches, hope our team gets better. I don't necessarily think that there is a clear path for you to just make an easy pivot with selling one of these names. And then I think really the only waiver wire flip that we would have would be dropping Tootin in favor of Jake Ferguson if you were to have no Tyler Warren at practice on Thursday. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. But it looks like we just hit 100 likes on the stream, so we'll go ahead and we will give away some free questions in the chat. So again, every time we hit 100 likes on the stream, we pick a couple random people in the live chat to give some free questions to. All you got to do is drop a like on the stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. That way I know who to send the questions to, and we'll pick those people really soon. But let's go ahead and let's get into our next question here, or our next team. This is going to be for E. Fulton. This is a 12-team start 8 format, so the depth is going to matter a decent amount. We are 4th in the league analyzer. We are currently 1-1. We've scored 271 points, which puts us like 3rd in the league in total points scored. So we have a pretty good team in general. And let's go ahead and let's pull up and see what moves that we could look to make. So I immediately see some waiver wire pivots that we can make. But before we get to that, let me pull up some of the people in the chat right now to send them over free questions. And I saw people in the chat asking how they could get a free team review. Team reviews just simply take too long for me to give away free. I don't even have time to answer as many paid reviews as people want to send in. We have to limit the amount of time that we can even offer them. But if you get an annual Mother Flocker membership to flockfantasy.com with code FLOCK, then you'll get access to everything on the site 365 days a year. And you'll also get a free team review, a free trade question, and a free start sit question every year. But let's get this for Dastito. Just found you on the site and just sent you over that free start sit. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the stream. And I'm sorry my voice sounds like it's going. To be honest with you, I don't know why it sounds this bad. It didn't sound this bad when I was recording videos earlier. Little Bodie, I just looked up that username on the site. There's Little Bodie 123. There's no Little Bodie with no numbers on it. So I'm going to give Little Bodie 123 a free start sit question. And if that is not you, I apologize, but now you missed out. All right, let's go ahead and let's move this back over to E. Fulton. So again, this is a league in which the depth with the skill positions are actually going to matter. The reason being is you can start up to 4 wide receivers here weekly. Like our starting lineup this next week is Derrick Henry, Achane at running back. We got Adams, Pickens at wide receiver, Kamara in a flex. And in that last spot, you're choosing between like Jalen Waddle, Ramadre, and Darnell Mooney. And if Jalen Waddle is healthy, we would go ahead and put him in here. But ultimately, like the depth matters to the point where we do not have an expendable asset to potentially try to go through and sell one of these names. Looking at easy waiver wire moves that we can make, given the fact that Achane's fully healthy, while at the same time, you do have just a really bad Miami Dolphins offense. I don't know what the exact upside would be if we were looking at a player like Ollie Gordon. I would probably cut Ollie Gordon and pick up Caleb Johnson. Not going to sit here and act like Caleb Johnson's going to be anything anytime soon, but I think he's a better shot than Gordon does. Going over to receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster is complete dust. Like, there's no way in hell you ever put this dude into your starting lineup. Week 1, he gives you 10 points. Week 2, he gives you 1.5. All of last season, he had one game with more than 20 points. The year prior, all of 2023, he had one game with more than 10 points. So Juju's done. One of my favorite players ever, but you cut his ass and you pick up Kayshon Boutte. And then going over and looking at tight end, if Dallas Goedert's going to be good to go this week, I would actually consider cutting Cade Otton for Isaiah Likely for the long-term upside there at tight ends. And quarterback, you're in a really good spot with, okay, also, by the way, people in the chat, please, if you're copying and pasting the same question over and over again, you're going to get muted. Please don't do that. But quarterback, we have Baker and we have May. We can play the matchups between them weekly. We're completely fine. Again, with your league settings here where we want to be building around the skill positional depth, I don't necessarily know if these are going to be the QBs that we want to. We can't upgrade quarterback in this format. Like quarterback, this is what we're going with into the future. Looking at what we have at running back, we have 3 studs. Ramondre is a viable piece right now. Caleb Johnson is a long-term option. Wide receiver, Adams, Pickens, Waddle, Diggs, Mooney, Juju. Again, cut Juju Smith-Schuster, pick up Kayshon Boutte for sure. Tight end, we have Dallas Goedert. So I actually really like that you're building around the skill positional depth. I think that you're seeing this with your team where we are 3rd in this league with total points scored. I think the only thing that we are wanting to do is drop Ollie Gordon, drop Juju Smith-Schuster, pick up Caleb Johnson, pick up Kayshon Boutte, and then go over to tight end and consider dropping K. Dotton for Isaiah Likely if Dallas Goedert's good to go this week and we can consider the long-term upside. But I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me send you over some free questions just in case you have anything that you want to follow up with. Okay. And since we just did a giveaway, we will give, we'll do the next giveaway at 300 likes and we'll give 4 people free questions. But we did just have to close the free questions. I know we said the first 15 minutes of every stream, those questions will be open. We had them open for about 15 minutes and we will try to get through all the questions that we have waiting for us right now. And then we'll go ahead and circle back and hopefully be able to open them up again in a second. Evan says, I'm in the chat. Thanks for the view. My guy, I wish I had more to tell you, but again, I really like your team for your format in particular. If it was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I would definitely want to try to like sell a running back and a receiver together, get a better wide receiver. But I actually think that you're in a really good spot. Now, Lover, really appreciate you. Says, just curious to see what moves I should be looking forward with this team. Also, late congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much, my guy. Here, we are the #1 team in the league analyzer. We are 0-2, however, and it's not like we're an unlucky 0-2. You are dead last in points scored. So what is going on with our team here? Oh, what's going on is we only drafted rookie running backs. That's it. Like we just have 0 points at the running back position right now. You need to do what we can to go out there and try to get a better running back. Like this is a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So I like building around the wide receiver depth. We have Puka, we have Nico, we have Evans, we have Pickens as our 4 wide receivers, right? So these guys are jams every single week. Quarterback, we have Goff. I think you want to play the matchups with Goff and someone else. So I would drop Kayshon Boutte. I'd pick up Brock Purdy. Not playing Purdy this week, even if he is good to go, but still at the same time, I would like to have that optionality going into the future. So drop Kayshon Boutte, pick up Brock Purdy. I have Troy Franklin and Braylon Allen ranked back-to-back. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where you are this loaded at wide receiver, where we have the most valuable wide receiver room in this league by far, and the worst running back room in this league by far, I'd probably tell you to go ahead and drop Franklin for Braylon Allen. But here I think you're fine. Here's the thing you got to do with your team, to be honest. You need to trade Trey McBride, which I hate to say it. Trey McBride's my tight end 1 rest of season. Like, I love McBride. For most rosters, I think that they can afford him and they can roll with him. But you're 0-2, and right now, like, Cam Scattaboo's in our starting lineup. Jalen Warren's our running back 1. You'd be way better off doing what you can to get an upgrade at running back by selling Trey McBride, starting Harold Fannin, than having to start Jalen Warren RB1 and Cam Scattaboo RB2. So if we can go through and find some teams that really need help at tight end, let's sort it by the worst tight end teams in this league. This team has David Njoku. Could we sell? Honestly, they don't even have a running back that I'm interested in. This team's pretty buns, to be honest. Going over and looking at what we have with this next team. This team is Dallas Goedert and Jonnu Smith, but also they're the second to worst team in this league at running back. So we can't really send them Trey McBride. What about this team here? This team has Travis Kelce and that's it. I would love to try to package together Trey McBride and RJ Harvey for Jonathan Taylor. Like Here, obviously, RJ Harvey still has a decent amount of long-term upside. But the issue that you're going to be running into with Harvey on your 0-2 team is you need points right now. We can't be thinking about points in the long term. So I'd be fine trying to get that upgrade. Obviously, there's no way you can get to Gibbs. Going over this team is Kyle Pitts and Evan Ingram. I would offer Trey McBride for Ashton Genty. I would offer Trey McBride and RJ Harvey for Bucky Irving. This team is Kincaid and Andrews. I mean, I would offer McBride and Harvey for Christian McCaffrey, but obviously you're not getting CMC. Can't hurt to send out the offer, though. This team is Laporta. They're probably chilling. This team is rostering 3 tight ends. Issue is they don't have any help at running back for us. This team is Tyler Warren. They're fine. This team is Kittle and Ertz. This team is Kraft. They're fine. This team is Bowers. They're fine. So for me, I think your main thing is you got to find a way to sell McBride for one of those running backs. Again, McBride's clearly the tight end 1 in fantasy. You're looking at a back-to-back weeks with 6 receptions. He's averaging about 70 receiving yards a game. No tight ends getting this type of volume. And this is the continued trend that what we had from last season as well with the 9.2 targets per contest. So I love McBride, but your team's too bad at running back where you have to make a trade. But let me send you over some free questions. I really appreciate you always hanging out with us in the chat, my guy, and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. Now let's move this over to a trade question. This is from Epiz. Trading Jennings for Jordan Mason. Now that Aaron Jones is on the IR, I'm not even going to take a look at your team. It doesn't matter. Jordan Mason is way better of an option than Juwan Jennings at this point. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh this. And I know we still have a couple Dynasty teams that we got to get through. But again, we're going to skip past those Dynasty teams for now and focus on the redraft teams for this live stream specifically. But let's go ahead and let's dive into this. So we got this trade question from Grantzers, trading Harrison and Rome for Nico. Sorry, Henderson. Yeah, we have Barkley and Bucky, so you can afford this. Let's go ahead and let's get Nico Collins. While I completely understand that Rome Odunse's crushed Nico this year, I don't expect that to be the case rest of season. Now, hammer fight with our next one. This is St. Brown versus Javonte and Rome. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Running back, we have Achane, Henderson, Jordan Mason. So you're fine at running back. In that instance, I want a Monroe St. Brown. Monroe St. Brown dropped about 40 points this past week. So I'm holding on to these elite level wide receivers unless you need the running back. I mean, I can see if you like drafted RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson, and you're like, man, I'm screwed for RBs, then sure, make that trade, but you're fine. Unexplained says, hey, Mason, do you think we should make this deal? Hell yes. I think Jordan Mason, Ashton Genty may not be that far off in the short term, but the long term, Genty's going to run laps around him. And Terry McLaurin looks like he could maybe just be a wide receiver 3 like he's been throughout his entire career. Because obviously, we go back and you look at Terry McLaurin last season. He was great with Daniels. But before that, wide receiver 33, wide receiver 20, 30, 16, 15. Like low end wide receiver 2 in fantasy primarily. I'm not saying that's going to be guaranteed the case at this point, but now that you have the Jaden Daniels injury, getting off this price to Genty makes a ton of sense. Now, Pie Ingles trading Chase Brown for Trevion and A.J. Brown. This is a deeper league. Running back, we'd be starting Jordan Mason and Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Marv, Sutton, and that's a yeah. So you need another option. You need to pick up an additional starter. I think in the long term, Trevion does well for you here. And I do think that you have to be worried about the Bengals offense with no Burrow. Now, Sam's Club with our next question. Trading Egbuka and Devonta Smith for Brian Thomas. This is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. We'd be starting Lamb, Brian Thomas, and Ted. Yeah, you have Rome Odunse as like your wide receiver 4, right? Yeah, you 100%. Devonta Smith is meaningless in this league for you. You go ahead and you get Brian Thomas. And again, I want to apologize. I understand that my voice sounds disgusting. whenever I say that I'm live streaming every single day answering fantasy. I'm doing the best I can. We're not taking a single day off answering questions. So a lot of times during the year, about this time, my voice starts to get gross. Hopefully it bounces back soon. Typically, like, I know it maybe seems like it hasn't happened in a while, but it is almost like clockwork. So during the football season, Sunday, I stream for 5 hours in the morning before kickoff. Then I make like the 45-minute video that comes out that night. And then also late that night at like 1 in the morning, I'm recording additional videos for Monday. Then Monday, I record 2 videos. I live stream like 3 to 4 hours. Tuesday, we kind of do the same thing. Wednesday, we kind of do the same thing. However, tomorrow, I only have to do 1 live stream and 1 video. And Friday, I don't have to record any videos. I only have to do 1 live stream. So during the season, it is typically a trend that like my voice will get really gross on Wednesday and Thursday. But then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it can kind of recover a bit. So it's probably just going to be something we have to deal with. But again, like I said, I'm live streaming every single day, trying to do my absolute best to answer these questions. But looks like we just hit 300 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's send over some more free questions. So all you got to do again to get those free questions, we're live streaming every single day, answering as many questions as I can, is drop a like on the stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. Let me get back to these and we'll get back to awarding those free questions. Quasmeister says, who to start at running back? League won't trade. You start Rachaad White and you cry a little bit on, actually, no, I still start RJ Harvey. I know Harvey's only playing like 32% of the snaps. That's the same as Rachaad White. And I do think eventually Harvey's going to expand his role. And then down at the flex, you play Cortland Sutton. I think we get a Sutton bounce back this week. Now, Bones1010 says 0-2 advice on wide receiver 2 and flex with Wednesday's injury report. So yeah, Igbuka did not practice. Metcalf's going to smash this week. You're going up against the New England Patriots. Patriots may have the worst secondary in the league. If Igbuka plays, you go with Igbuka in the flex. If he doesn't play, you go Amari and Hampton. Igbuka's plan A, Hampton's plan B. I know Igbuka didn't practice, but you do have him at least. I mean, he's coming off a Monday game, right? So it's not a guarantee that he's going to miss. But we are going to check this out for J-Dub. I need to send over those free questions first. So let's pick out some people. We got Nola Sneakerhead. Let me see if I can find you on the site. And if so, we'll send out those free questions. I cannot. I don't know if this is your username on this site or this is just your YouTube name. If you have an account on flockfantasy.com with that username, if you did not set up a promo code with it, you can go to your account page, add promo code FLOCK there, and that's really the only way I can find you on my account. Now let's look up Darren Henderson. Darren Henderson. I just found you, my guy. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in the stream. Just sent you over that free start sits. Let's send one out to the last burrito. The last burrito just found you on the site. Really appreciate you hanging out with us, my guy, and just sent you over that free start sit as well. We got D4MW. D4MW. Just found you and just sent you over that free start set. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream, my guy. Okay. But let's now go over and let's find J-Dub. Okay. So this is a really tough start. Should I flip Rasheed or maybe a tight end? I'm low-key in a panic mode, so I traded Kyron and Godwin for Genty. So it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So I really like that. Here, this is an ESPN league, so you should be able to link this with the site, my guy. But anyway, this is a league in which we only start, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. So the depth isn't going to matter much. Looking at the league setting, these standings, we are currently At the very bottom, we've only scored 181 points. So we have the worst team in this league so far through the first 2 weeks. But it shouldn't be that surprising. And the reason for this is look at who we drafted. We drafted Addison, Rice, Godwin, Spears. So we have 4 players on this team that aren't playing. Going over and looking at what we have with the starting lineup. We have Daniel Jones, Bo Nix to play the matchups with at quarterback. While I understand that Daniel Jones definitely has been the better option so far, do not view Daniel Jones as like a must start, need to jam him in quarterback every single week. Like you are really going to be playing the matchups here between these guys. Looking at what we have with the running backs, we have Bucky and Kyron. Then moving over to the bench, we have Sharp, and that's about it. I'm not counting Spears. Yeah, so I hate the fact that you're only rostering 3 RBs, right? So you said you traded Kyron and Godwin for Genty. So we're going to have Bucky and Genty. I think that will be a strong running back room. Then wide receiver, we have Chase, Nico, Marv. And then down on the bench, we have Addison, Rashee Rice. Man, I'm in agreement with you. You need to sell Rice. If you're 0-2 and we're sitting here with 3 tight ends on this team and 2 quarterbacks, so you're rostering 5 onesie position players. In my mind, I'm going to go through, I'm going to try to sell Rashee Rice. That way we can hopefully package together Rashee Rice with either Daniel Jones or with Bo Nix and get to an elite level quarterback. Or try to sell Rashee Rice and Zach Ertz to get to an elite level tight end. Because again, you're 0-2, you're at the bottom of the league in total points. You need a win right now. Well, you have Chase, you have Nico, you have Marv. You're great at wide receivers. You just traded for Genty, so we're great at the running back spots. We're great at the flex. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. You need a better onesie. And I think your trade piece here is going to be Rashee Rice, just given the fact that Rice gives you the long-term value, but not the short-term. And if you're 0-2, we need that short-term value. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out with this. Let me send you over those free questions just in case you want to follow up with anything. Okay, and let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be coming out from Sam's Club. Here we're trading Etienne, Igbuka, and Tet for Derrick Henry. You better have a loaded team. Wide receiver left over, we'd have Lamb, Rome, Smith, Hunter, so we're fine there. Running back, we'd have Henry and Achane. I think you can make this trade, to be honest. I think your team's good enough. You can pick up Josh Downs and Rachaad White for free off waivers. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Sam says it was meant to be a Devonta Smith, not Tet. Yeah, if it's Devonta Smith, it makes it even better. Yeah, go and get Derrick Henry at this cost. Your team's 100% good enough. Okay. Now, let's see. Christopher says, how to best submit my question. Can't sync a league with the site because I use NFL Fantasy. Then you can just manually input it. You don't need to link your league to send in a question. And if you're trying to send in a roster review, like this team that we just looked at here, we just looked at with screenshots. So you should be able to send in screenshots if you want to. That way you can, if it's a starting set question, you can manually put that in. If it's a trade question, you can manually put that in as well. And I don't know when the start set questions are going to open right now. Again, I'm doing the best I can. We're live streaming every single day answering all these questions. So Josh, if you're having a problem, my friend, you can email support@flockfantasy.com. There's 100,000 people that have linked their team. It works. If you're having a problem, please don't tell me that it doesn't work. You can email the support and the support would be happy to help you. Okay. Now let's move this over to Beto. Quarterback, Daniel Jones over Purdy, even if Purdy plays. Running back, we have the combo of James Cook as the automatic start, as well as Bucky Irving as the automatic start. Wide receiver, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Rome Odunze. You currently actually have the third highest implied team total for all teams with the Chicago Bears this week. That is how bad the Dallas Cowboys defense is. Tyler Warren is an auto start if he plays, but I would monitor the situation. Jordan Mason with no Aaron Jones, you're going to be playing for sure. And then going over and looking at what we have with that second flex, I think we are just going to be taking Ricky Pearsall over Quentin Johnson still. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope Quentin Johnson continues to slam though. Now, dark unit, here we have Baker Mayfield and Amon-Ra St. Brown versus CJ Stroud and CeeDee Lamb. So for me, if I'm looking at Baker, I don't necessarily think that he is like an elite quarterback this season that you're just starting every single week, regardless of the matchup. Caleb Williams for free off the waiver wire, so you can play the matchups between Caleb and Daniel Jones. So I would go ahead and I'll take the CeeDee Lamb and CJ Stroud side. Now, Badabuski with our next one. Here at quarterback, you're going to go ahead and I'll take Caleb. Again, the Bears are supposed to be the third highest scoring team in the league this week. And then Tet and Hampton are going to be our other starts easily. I understand Hampton's been horrendous, but the snaps are actually there and he's been fine with that. Bucci, if you're having any issues, you can email support@flockfantasy.com. Bunch of different ways that you can get site issues resolved. You can email support@flockfantasy.com, or you can open up a site issues ticket in the Discord. Okay. So let's move this over to Mr. Filthy Wubbs. And actually, I'm sorry, this is a Dynasty team review, so we're going to skip by this. And again, we're going to save those Dynasty team reviews for the Dynasty streams. Okay. Now here, Brin says, A.J. Brown, I will still be starting over Pickens and Travis Hunter, even though I believe A.J. Brown's like wide receiver 74 so far on the season. We're going to go Kelsey over Fan, and there's just nobody to throw the ball to in KC. And then I will take Travis Etienne over Breece Hall. I mean, Breece Hall, you're sitting with Tyrod Taylor as your quarterback this week. It's just going to be a garbage offense. Now, Himothy with our next question. Quarterback, give me Goff. Now, if Daniels plays, I'll still play him, but you're probably going to end up starting Goff. And then down in the flex, we're going to go with Tet McMillan for sure. Again, garbage offense, but you're just getting the guaranteed volume going in his direction. Okay. And yeah, let me send a message in the chat and let me just copy and paste this. Okay, and then it looks like we just hit 400 likes on the stream. So we'll go ahead and we'll give away another free question. All you got to do to get that free question is drop a like on the stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. Now, Bin 101, this is Marv versus A.J. Brown. I'd rather have A.J. Brown rest of season. I know A.J. Brown's had no volume. Neither is Marv. Marv's sitting here with 11 targets on the year. A.J. Brown's had 9. We have the long track record of A.J. Brown being an elite fantasy producer. We've never seen Marv do it. Bin Dog says Keeper League would also get 2 first in wide receiver trouble. If you're going to get 2 first on this, then hell yeah, we'll go with Ladd McConkey easily. Now, Blake Fulbright, this will be our next team, but let's first give away a free start sit question in the chat real quick. We got Bauer Rangers. Let me see if I can find you on the site, and if so, I will be happy to send that over. Just found you and just sent you over that free start sit question, my friend, and really hope I was able to help you out. Okay. Okay, let's move this over to our next one. Okay. Okay, perfect. Blake Fulbright says, looking to potentially trade for an elite quarterback. Do you think it's worth it? If so, what should be a good offer to make? Or should I just sit on what I have and stream May and Goff? It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where you're the number 1 team in the league analyzer. We're 2-0. We've scored the most points in this league. So I would say, yes, we can afford going out there and trading for an elite QB. At least in the majority of instances, right? Where if we're looking at what we have across this roster, we are 7th in the league with quarterback value. We are 3rd in the league with running back value, 3rd at wide receiver, and 4th at tight end. So a couple different things that I want to say before we can even come up with some trades. One, when we're looking at options on the waiver wire, Chris Godwin is just too compelling to have out there for free. I would drop either Keenan Allen or Calvin Ridley, up to you, to be honest, for Chris Godwin. It's not like you're starting either Calvin Ridley or Keenan Allen soon anyway. So it doesn't really hurt us to just have the long-term upside of Chris Godwin in the lineup. Now, going over and looking at what we have with a potential trade. DeAndre Swift's our running back 4. Rashee Rice, Chris Godwin will have his long-term pieces here. So if you didn't want to make a trade right now, you don't need to. But reasonably, because your team is so strong, you can send a Godfather type offer for Lamar. You can send a Godfather type offer for Allen. Like realistically, you trade away James Cook, who's the running back 1 in fantasy at the moment. Obviously, James Cook has been absolutely crushing. I wish I drafted way more of him. I wish I would have been smart enough to be way higher on him. Sadly, I wasn't. But if you could go ahead and trade away, say, James Cook and Drake May, get Allen, get Lamar. Like this team here has Lamar, Herbert, and Love. And maybe they feel good enough with Justin Herbert that they're willing to make that deal. I mean, right now, they don't have a running back 3. Their running back 3 and running back 4 is Joe Mixon and Caleb Johnson. Send them, I would first offer Alvin Kamara and Drake May for Lamar Jackson. We'd expect that that gets rejected, and we're going to have to go up and either send James Cook or Josh Jacobs, which because you have the strongest team in the league, you can afford it. But first offer them the junk, offer them Kamara. And then I would also go through and do the same thing when it comes to the Josh Allen team. Like with the Josh Allen team, they have Tracy and Braylon Allen as their RB3, RB4. I would initially offer them Alvin Kamara and Drake May for Josh Allen. If they reject, I'll get up to Josh Jacobs, James Cook. We'll send one of those guys. And then if you were able to make that deal, I don't know if your league is one in which you're forced to roster 2 quarterbacks. It looks like everybody is doing it. I guess the Mahomes team isn't. So you're not forced to. Are there quarterbacks in the... Yeah, there are quarterbacks on the waiver wire. So if you could make that deal where you could send like Drake May and James Cook for Lamar Jackson, 1, you're going to open up a roster spot just naturally by doing that. And 2, I would actually take it one step further, and I would say you could drop Jared Goff if you did that. And you could pick up Rachaad White and pick up Chris Godwin for free. So, again, try to sell one of these running backs. Go get the elite level quarterback. Whether that's us sending James Cook for Lamar Jackson or whether that's us sending Josh Jacobs for Josh Allen. I think those are the only real moves that you can make with this team outside of the waiver wire pivots because you frankly do have by far and away the best team in the league. And it's showing up both with the league analyzer as well as points scored. But let me send you over some free questions just in case you would have any follow-ups with this. Really do appreciate you, my guy. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be Official Rob. Says, congrats on the engagement, man. Thank you. Here at wide receiver, we're going to go ahead. We are going to start the combo of A.J. Brown and George Pickens with how good the game environment is with Dallas. And then down in the flex, oh, dear gosh. If Daniels plays, I probably go Terry McLaurin. And if he doesn't, I'm going to take Amari Hampton. I would still play Hampton over Juwan Jennings. I'd still play Hampton over Calvin Ridley, even if he's been horrendous. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be other thread. Here for the flexes, we have Calvin Ridley currently on the bench. There's no way I play Ridley over Sutton or Pollard, so we're going to leave this as is. And I would play Juwan Johnson over Evan Ingram at this point. So yeah, leave your lineup as is for sure. Good team. And if Zach Charbonnet misses, you having Bijan and Kenneth Walker on the same squad is going to go nuclear. Okay. Now let's refresh this, see if we have anything else that we are looking at. So I know we had a couple of these teams get sent in that looked like they were dynasties here. Sean Dangster, this is not a dynasty one. So we can go ahead and we can take a look at this. Says, I'm Cookman, started with the number 1 ranked team before the season, was feeling good, traded Olave for Devonta Smith before the year. I would have done the same exact thing. And it looks like we are just getting smoked with Smith. And then Egbuka and Sharp for Brees and Golden last week. Was offered Nico for Waddle and Chase Brown, but I'm not going to accept. Help me, Mason Armkid. Yeah, I would not accept that either because this is a 12-team start 8 format. So depth actually going to matter a decent amount here. We are currently the 7th team in the league analyzer. We are 0-2, and at the same time, we are second to bottom in this league when it comes to total points scored. So we are not in a good situation at the moment. Quarterback, we have Kyler and Fields. Again, in a league like this, quarterback's not going to matter that much. So we are kind of fine with having these two players and just playing the matchups between them. Looking at running back, here's the problem with your team. We have 2 rookies and then a running back on the IR. So realistically, we just have no production right now at running back. We carry this over to tight ends, and we have George Kittle currently on the IR as well. So here's the thing. You're 0-2. You have to start selling some of these players, and then going over to receivers. You have 2 rookies and then another wide receiver on the IR. So looking at this team across the board, what you need to begin to do is you need to start selling off some of these future assets, whether that's a rookie, whether that's a current player on the injured reserve. Like we may need to go through and, okay, well, let's first talk about the waiver wire pivots. I'm going to assume you do not have 3 IR slots. So if you do not have 3 IR slots, I would drop Brandon Ayuk. Well, first thing is you drop Michael Mayer. There's no reason your team should have Michael Mayer on it. Drop Michael Mayer, pick up Keon Coleman. And then after you do that, if you wanted old Ayuk, I'd be fine. Because then the next best guy that I'd want to pick up would be Caleb Johnson. But Caleb Johnson is also in that same boat, right? Where Caleb's nothing in the short term and only viable in the long term. Now, looking at what we have with a potential trade, for me, I think it's going to hinge on, again, selling a player with that future value. But I don't think you're getting anything if you try to sell RJ Harvey. I don't think you're getting anything if you try to sell Brandon Ayuk, Matthew Golden, Travis Hunter, even Amari and Hampton. Joe Mason, nobody's trading anything. Out of the guys that I think you could realistically trade and get some value in your starting lineup for right now, I think it would be George Kittle. And again, going back to it, I think you're in a spot in which you probably want to be trying to do so if we are currently 0-2 at the bottom of this league with total points scored. So I would try to look at the teams that are at the top of the league and see if they have any expendable value that they could give us right now. I would offer Kittle and Amari and Hampton to try to get to Ashton Genty. I would offer Kittle and RJ Harvey to try to get to Travis Etienne. There's no way we get to Neighbors, of course. Going over, this team has Bauer, so they're not going to be interested at all. This team, top of the league with points scored, while at the same time they have David Njoku as their only tight ends. I would offer them the combo of like Kittle and Breece Hall to see if we could get to Jonathan Taylor, and of course throw in any future crap that we need to. Throw in Joe Mixon, throw in Matthew Golden, throw in Brandon Ayuk, throw in any of that crap that's long-term upside just for that short-term production. Let's keep it going. This team has Warren, so they're not going to be interested. This team has a bunch of random tight ends. Maybe we could try to send like Kittle and RJ Harvey and get back Kamara. Try to send Kittle and Travis Hunter and get back AJ Brown. I think that's the position you're in. I think you have to try to sell George Kittle, sacrifice the long-term upside, and just find a way to get some production inside your starting lineup. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. I'm seeing if there's anything else that we could possibly even need to say with this squad, but no, I think you're in a really good spot. Again, thank you so much for everything. And let me send you over those free questions. I think you just got to sell some of that future value to get points in your lineup right now. But you have a lot of future values. Hopefully you can get something. Now let's mark that complete. And then again, like I said, these teams here are dynasties, so we're going to skip by those. Eli Davis says, need help at running back and or quarterback, but struggling to come up with any good trades since I can start each of my top 3 wide receivers. Any tips? So 14 team format, right? So depth's going to matter just because it's going to be harder to come by. We're 1-1. We've scored 206 points. So we're kind of right in the middle of the league with both our record and our points for. We did just lose this week. And we are kind of right in the middle of the league with our value on the roster as well. So 14 team league, naturally the waiver wire is going to be much worse, right? So if we're looking at the waiver wire right now, the best plays would be like Blake Corum, DJ Giddens. Like we're fine leaving those guys out there. Looking at what we have with the quarterback position, we are currently rolling with Justin Fields and Jake Browning. So it looks like we're starting Browning this week. Don't love the matchup. I wouldn't fault you if you decided to go with Geno instead. Like the Raiders are supposed to score more points this week than what you have with the Bengals. But again, I have them ranked QB 22 and QB 23 rest of season. So it is just frankly up to you. Then looking at running back, we have Chuba and then nothing at running back 2 because Isaiah Pacheco's turned to dust and Caleb Johnson's nothing. And even Zach Charbonnet is missing practice now. So even Zach Charbonnet may not be, I mean, obviously you're never excited to put him in, but you may not even be able to consider putting him in. Then looking at receiver, we have JSN, Nico, London. I love starting those 3 wide receivers every week in this format. This is a 14-team league, so we will have a better wide receiver 2 and a better flex spot than anybody else in this league. And we'll have a better tight end than the vast majority of the league. Of course, we're going to be weak at running back. Of course, we're not going to be great at quarterback. I mean, hopefully Fields can give us those spike weeks when we need them. So if we're looking at a trade that this team could make, I mean, obviously like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 is meaningless when you're sitting here and you're this strong at like the top 3 wide receiver slots, but you're not going to be able to sell Matthew Golden for anything. You're not going to be able to sell Alec Manor for anything. I will say if like Matthew Golden comes through and Matthew Golden starts to crush, then obviously at that point, I would really like to go through and I'd like to sell him and Isaiah Pacheco and get a running back to irrelevance. But that's just simply not going to be possible. Like nobody's buying him right now. One thing that could be interesting to bring up is just the value over replacement. Like waiver wire tight ends are naturally just going to be better here than what we have with waiver wire options at the other positions. So if you wanted to sell Tyler Warren and go get a better running back 2. And then there you can turn around and you could just pick up K-Dot and Isaiah Likely off the waiver wire. And then hopefully once Isaiah Likely comes in, we're okay that way. Then that is something we can look at. Like this team here has Mark Andrews as their only tight end, but they have no running back in that range. Like it's going to be another thing. There aren't many running backs in the range of like Tyler Warren. And in a 14-team format, we're not going to find many teams with expendable running backs. So I think you leave this team as is. I think you continue to work the waiver wire at running back. I'd consider Geno over Browning. If Matthew Golden pops, then we'll try to sell him for a better running back too. But I think you just got to work waivers for your RB2 position. And if you could get a phenomenal price tag, like if you're playing with idiots and they're willing to send you Ashton Genty for Tyler Warren, and then we pick up Kate Otten and Isaiah Likely off waivers, we'll do it. But I don't really know, like looking at those teams that really need a tight end, I don't really see like a running back that make a lot of sense there. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But I actually really like what you're doing at wide receiver in this league, especially just because you can only start 2 receivers in a flex. So we're just jamming them in. And yeah, let me send you over free questions in case there's anything that you want to follow up with. But it looks like we just hit 500 likes in the stream. So we'll go ahead and we'll send out some more free questions. All you got to do to get a free question or potentially win one is drop a like on the live stream. And at the same time, drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. That way I know who to send the question to if you win it. Now, hey, yo, Micah, this is Dobbins and Jefferson versus Kyron and Nico. 10-team league. Give me Jefferson still over Nico Collins. Kyron Williams over Dobbins by a mile. Afterwards, we'd be starting Chase Brown, Kyron Williams at running back, wide receiver, Neighbors, Nico, JSN, and Wilson in the flexes. Before that, we're starting Chase Brown, Amari, and Hampton at running back, and then wide receiver, Jefferson, JSN, Neighbors, Wilson. Wide receiver, this is a fair deal. If you wanted to go get Kyron Williams, I'm fine with it if you're just terrified of this offense rest of season in Minnesota. All right, let's send a free question over here to 7 Miles Spanking Machine. This may be the weirdest username that I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't know if this is a reference to something that I don't understand, and I can't even find it on the site. So I don't know if you use code FLOCK, but if you haven't used code FLOCK, it's not too late. You can add it to your account page. Hungry Jack with our next one. Hungry Jack just sent you over that free start set. Appreciate you hanging out with us in the stream, my friend. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This one's coming out from Brandon. It says Superflex PPR tight end premium. I feel like I need to make a trade or something. Let me know what you think. Okay. So ignore the league analyzer if it's a Superflex PPR tight end premium. And I'm going to rip a screenshot of this to send it to the devs because it's not telling us these league settings correctly. But happy that you told me anyway. So the Brock Street Boys, we are currently sitting here at 1-1. We've scored 322 points. So we're the 3rd highest scoring team in this league. It's a 12-team format. Quarterback, we have Herbert, Purdy, Browning, and Rodgers. So we're pretty good in terms of we'll always have 2 quarterbacks we can put in the lineup. But with that being said, I mean, we don't have the top end QB1. In general, I'd like to see if there's a way that we can go out there and trade for that. But already taking a sneak peek at the other spots on our roster, it's going to be tough. Looking at what we have at running back, we have the elite RB1 with McCaffrey. We have Jordan Mason RB2. Judkins, Joe Mixon. Byshell, Tootin, Brian Robinson, Dylan Sampson. So Jordan Mason gives you the auto start RB2 right now. Judkins and Joe Mixon and Byshell Tootin give you the long-term upside at running back. But like none of these assets are expendable. Nobody's trading for Judkins. Nobody's trading for Mixon. Nobody's trading for Tootin. And Jordan Mason, we need him right now at RB2. Going over to wide receiver, we have Ladd, we have Pickens. Here's the thing. If we were to be able to make a trade, I don't necessarily know exactly how your league mates are valuing the tight end position with this premium format. But if you could sell Harold Fannin and a QB and move up and get like an elite option, like with the Daniels injury and with how good Justin Herbert has been, if you could potentially sell the combo of Justin Herbert and Harold Fannin in a tight end premium format and find your way into like Jaden Daniels, it would be an absolute no-brainer if possible, as we can just still go through and we can just jam in Brock Bowers every single week. Looking at waiver wire pivots, I would drop Dylan Sampson. I'd pick up Tyler Algier. One thing that we could look to do as well is there a team in this league that really needs help and needs a second quarterback starter? Since we have 4 here in the long term. I'm assuming everybody has 2 at the moment, which looks to be the case. Yeah, this team is Russ. So here's the thing. I think while a trade may not make sense right now, you will get to a point of the season where there's going to be a team in your league that loses a starter. Like, right, this team has Love, Burrow, Russ. So they just lost Burrow. They have Russ that they can start for the time being, but obviously eventually this is going to pivot over to Jackson Dart. So once they lose Russ, then at that point, I'm knocking on their door immediately and I'm going, hey, I'll give you Jake Browning and say George Pickens, give me back Brian Thomas. Or like this team has Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford. If they get an injury to Jalen Hurts, I'm immediately knocking on their door going, hey, do you need Brock Purdy? So I don't think a trade makes sense right now outside of if you could get like a great price tag by selling Harold Fannin, let's go for it. But I think you put yourself in a really good position where we should be able to dominate in the short term. Again, we look at this. We are 3rd in this league with total points scored so far. And then once a team gets a QB injury, we should really be able to take advantage of that. But I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. Now, Drew, with our next question. This is us trading. And actually, let me real quick go back to Brandon. I don't know if I sent you over free questions, but let me make sure I do anyway, or do again, just so if you have any follow-ups, I'd be happy to take a look at it. Now, Drew, this is Hampton, Pollard, Sutton versus Etienne and Ladd. Give me Etienne over Hampton. Give me Ladd over Sutton. Paying Pollard to get it done. I would rather have the Etienne and Ladd side here. But it will be very important to monitor the Ladd McConkey injury with him missing practice today and looking into what that really is. Now, let's move this over to our next team, which is going to be Chase Hunt 5 says, I'm not sure if I should trade for a better quarterback with Purdy out or still sit on it since I'm 2-0. Any other advice would be great. So it's a 14-team format, right? So the assumption is we are not going to be in an easy spot to just go through and pick up quarterbacks from the waiver wire. Looking at our league in terms of total points scored, we are currently the number 1 team. So we are in a great spot. We have Matthew Stafford that we can start in the short term. And I want to point out to you as well that we did just get word today as well that you are probably getting Purdy back earlier than we are initially mentioning. Shanahan said that there's a shot that Brock Purdy's playing this week. Now, do I believe that? No. But I hear that and go, oh, okay, well, maybe that means he plays next week. Now, looking at what we have at running back, we have Chase Brown, Kamara, Etienne. This is a league in which you can only start 2 receivers in a flex. We're starting Puka and Flowers at wide receiver every week. Chase Brown, Kamara at running back every week. Travis Etienne in the flex. So you know what? You do now have an expendable piece. Jordan Mason turning into an absolute auto start for us means you can afford to sell one of your running backs. And it's a 14-team format. So I think we should be able to find a team that realistically needs some help at RB. Like, let's go through and look. This team's fine. This team right now, Ramondre's their RB2. Maybe we offer them Etienne and Purdy for Daniels. Like, what's their alternative? Pick up DJ Giddens from the waiver wire. This team has CMC and Brees. They're okay. This team has Gibbs and Kyron. They're okay. This team has, I guess, 4 potential starters. They're all right. They're not going to be desperate. This team has Barkley, David Montgomery, and Dylan Sampson's just turned to 0. I'm throwing a little crap offer their way, too. Seeing if they get desperate enough. I'm offering them Travis Etienne and Brock Purdy for Jalen Hurts. Let's see what else we got. This team right now has like Isaiah Pacheco as their RB2, just scoring 3 points a game. Or maybe that's a little bit of an underestimate. Maybe I'm being mean to him. He's instead scoring about 4 points a game. I apologize, Mr. Pacheco. They have Mahomes at QB. If you wanted to offer them like Jordan Mason and Brock Purdy for Mahomes, obviously I'd be less excited about that. You could also go like Travis Etienne and Zay Flowers for Nico Collins. Actually, I wouldn't even do that in a 14-team league. Maybe Jordan Mason and Zay Flowers for Nico. But again, if you're selling your running back here, you have all the power. You need to make sure that somebody is overpaying you. This team just lost Aaron Jones. Their running back 2 is now Rashad White. I would go out there and I would offer them Travis Etienne and Zay Flowers for Justin Jefferson. Again, it's a 14-team league. What's their alternative? To pick up DJ Giddens off the waiver wire. This team's fine at running back. This team's fine. This team has Quinshon Judkins as their RB2. DeAndre Swift as their RB1. I'll go out there and I'll offer them Chase Brown and Zay Flowers for CeeDee Lamb. Like, again, if you're making, you have the best team in the league. You're 2-0. You've scored the most points. You're at the top of the league analyzer as well. You are in the positional strength. You have all the power. If you were to make a trade, it's selling a running back now that we have the additional starter to a team that in this 14-team format, there should be somebody desperate. We're selling them to a desperate team, and we are only taking a deal if we very clearly win it. Which, honestly, you're in a very similar spot to how I am in my league. In my league, I have enough running back starters to go around. I'm chilling. I'm at the very top. I'm number 1 in my league standings right now. And every single week, I'm getting people approaching me trying to trade for a running back. And every single time, I throw out disrespectful offers their way. I go, oh, you want Travis Etienne? Give me Ladd McConkey. Maybe that's not even disrespectful at this point, but I'm not taking any lowball offers for my running backs. You have all the power, especially in a 14-team format. So I think you go through, and if you can, I don't want to say rob, but if you can be somebody's savior by sending them over a running back, you need to make sure that they are paying you a very nice price tag for that service. Now, let's move this over, and let me send you over those free start sets and trades as well, just in case you have anything that you want to follow up here. Really do appreciate you, my guy. And let's send this over to our next question. This is going to be Smokin' Beef. Says, first, thanks for everything you do, brother. Moved ET and Debo for Genty and Bryant. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. I think I got great upside. Would love your thoughts. Thanks again. Thank you, my friend. We are the number one team in the league analyzer, but we are at the, no, we're not at the bottom. We're in the middle of the league with total points scored, but I guess we've just had tough matchups. But also, I think our team's probably much better after we made those trades, right? So that's maybe explains why we're so high in the analyzer. Now, this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. Look at where we're at right now. We have Gibbs, Achane, Genty. 3 absolute hammers we can start every week at running back in the flex. We have the elite quarterback with Jalen Hurts. So we have an okay tight end with Sam Laporta. Here's my thing. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Honestly, call 9. Judkins is startable at this point. You have 9 startable wide receivers and running backs in a league in which you can only start 5 of them. So you're to the point where you need to sell one of these wide. Like, the ideal in my world is trying to make a 2-for-1 deal where we up tier at wide receiver, where we find a team that potentially needs depth, that doesn't have a ton of wide receiver production, or at least doesn't have a ton of players that they can trust. And we try to see if we can send them 2 wide receivers for 1 in return. Like this team, Devonta Smith is their wide receiver 3. So I would go out there, I'd offer them like George Pickens and Brian Thomas for Jamar and see how scared they are with the Burrow injury. This team is Keon Coleman as their wide receiver 3 with Xavier Worthy injured. So if I'm looking at this team, it's like, hell yeah, let's try to find a way to get to JSN. Let's try to find a way to get to Neighbors. My initial offer is, hey, I'll give you DK Metcalf and George Pickens for JSN. They probably laugh us out of the building, right? But that's just the Trojan horse to at least get them to respond. And then we bump it up and go, hey, well, I'll give you Brian Thomas and Terry McLaurin for JSN. Terry McLaurin's never hitting your starting lineup anyway. Going over and trying to find another team that potentially needs some help with wide receiver depth. This team is Ridley as their wide receiver 3. I'm offering them DK Metcalf, George Pickens for Drake London. This team is Matthew Golden, wide receiver 3. I'm offering them Brian Thomas and DK Metcalf for CeeDee Lamb. They're probably going to reject, but I'm sending the offer anyway. Hell, throw in Laporta if they want Laporta, because honestly, I think you can turn. This team has no wide receiver 3 whatsoever. They literally only have Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown. I'm offering them the combo of DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin for A.J. Brown. They have Brock Bowers. Hell, what you can possibly do is try to offer them DK Metcalf and Sam Laporta for Brock Bowers. You need to sell wide receiver depth, whether that's a 2-for-1 wide receiver tier up or whether that's get the elite tight ends. Based off the trade you just made, you are so deep and so strong with the skill positions that they're expendable. And you need to go out there and you need to find an upgrade if you can. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way here, my guy. But again, thank you so much for hanging out with us as always. Now, let me hit next question. And it does look like we just hit 600 likes on the stream, so we'll go ahead and we'll send out another free question. All you got to do is drop a like on this live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll go ahead and hopefully try to send you out that free Q. But Jay Smitty traded in Ja'Cory Cross-Gameret and Jamar Chase for Pollard, London, and Nico. 14 team. If this is, this is a 14 team format. Give me the extra starter for sure. JCM, Pollard, tomato for me. Jamar versus London and Nico Collins. 10 team league, tough, but 14 team league. Go get the extra starter for sure. Obtainable coming through with our next one. Wide receiver, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be playing George Pickens in a really good game environment. Tight end, Trey McBride. You need to sell Tucker Kraft here. And in the flex spots, we're probably going to go with the combo of like Terry and Olave. But again, I'd highly recommend seeing what you could get for Kraft. Now, our next team that we're going to look at will be from Young Beast. But first, we need to give out that free question. So let me find somebody in the chat real quick. We got Ire Fire. Let me see if I can send you over that free question. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Ire Fire, just found you and just sent that question your way. Okay. And now let's get back over and start answering this question from Young Beast. We are digging chaos. We're the number 2 team in the league analyzer. Let me send you over those free questions before I forget. This is a 10-team start 8 format, so we can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. Looking at what we have with the roster construction in general, I will say that we're not rostering 3 tight ends here. What I would rather do, to be honest with you, is I do not view Mahomes in that tier of like untouchable elite quarterbacks that you're playing every single week, regardless of matchup. I do think that he's a elite real life QB. Just for fantasy purpose, it's going to be a little bit tougher with this situation. So for me, what I would probably go ahead and look to do is I would cut David Njoku, and I would honestly probably pick up Caleb Williams here, to be honest with you. Like, in what world do I ever want to go through and do I ever want to start Njoku? So yeah, cut Njoku, pick up Caleb. Going over to what we have with the waiver wire running back. We have Ray Davis and Blake Corum out there. If Tajee Spears is on your IR, then obviously we're kind of leaving this as is. However, if Spears is on your active roster, I would cut Spears for Ray Davis. Wide receiver, we leave as is. Loveland I'd have on the watch list for sure. Then looking at what we have at running back, we're the number 1 team in this league at RB with Bijan, Taylor, Etienne. Absolutely phenomenal running back room. Explains why we are the number 1 team in the league with total points scored. Here's the thing. You're the number 1 team in this league with points scored. And we've had A.J. Brown score like a total of 9 points so far this season. That's our wide receiver 1. So your team's only getting better from here. I think that Stephon Diggs will get better as well as he gets off the snap count. Darnell Mooney will get better as he gets healthier. If we could find a team that needs Jaylen Warren, like you don't need Jaylen Warren. And Jaylen Warren is a running back that kind of has an expiration date. We're not expecting Jaylen Warren to be great all year round. So this team just lost Aaron Jones. If you could trade like Jaylen Warren and Kelsey to somehow get to like Tyler Warren, I would love it. If you could sell like Jaylen Warren and Devontae Adams to get to Jackson Smith and Jigba, I would love it. Hell, if you wanted to go like Travis Etienne and Garrett Wilson to get to Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would do that as well. Because you do that, have that expendable running back. So again, Jaylen Warren would be my preferred sale, but if you find that your league mates have no interest in Jaylen Warren, you may end up being in that spot. Sorry, we're looking at the other teams trying to find if there's another possible trade partner. But issue is like 10-team league. Most people aren't going to need a running back like that. So this team will, though. This team can't start Trevion right now. They can't start Caleb Johnson right now. So realistically, we don't need to start Jaylen Warren. So in that scenario, what you could also consider doing is you could consider trading Jaylen Warren and go pick up a running back that maybe is worse in the short term, but better in the long term, like Trevion Henderson. Because if this player is going to be on your bench anyway for the time being, I would rather just chase the long-term upside. And this team right here would start Jaylen Warren immediately. So I'd offer them Jaylen Warren for Trevion, see what they say. I would offer them also Travis Etienne and Travis Kelce for Brock Bowers. This team is Amari and Hampton and Isaiah Pacheco. Disappointing. I would also go through. I would try to send Travis Etienne for. Actually, I'm sorry. I'd try to send Jalen Warren for Amari and Hampton. Hell, I'd throw in like Stephon Diggs. Who cares? But yeah, if you were to make a trade, it's selling one of those depth running backs when we don't exactly need them. I would cut Njoku for Caleb. So I don't necessarily know if we can bank on Mahomes giving us 60 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown every single week going into the future. So it'd be nice to just have a secondary option to play if Mahomes regresses a bit with rushing and runs into a horrible matchup. But I think that's all I got for you. Again, I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. But I already sent you over those free questions as well. So I think we should be good there. Now let's move this over to Ander. This is a start sit. Here for the flex, we have A.J. Brown on the bench right now. If you wanted to play Jordan Mason, I'm not going to fault you for it. This team's so damn good that I think we should be trying to sell one of our wide receivers with Kyle Pitts or with Baker to get to an elite onesie. So Lou Desheen, this is Devonta Smith, Devontae Adams for A.J. Brown and Quentin Johnston. Adams versus A.J. Brown, give me A.J. Brown, but it's close. Smith versus Quentin Johnston, give me Smith. And it's not that close. I'll probably go with the Adams and Smith side. Hope I'm wrong. I hope the big Q comes through and crushes. Now, Logan Baum says, I've had trades offered to me, most notably Bucky and Pitts for Walker and Warren. I'm a Seahawks fan, but said no. I really need help on running back right now and don't know who to start in week 3 due to the matchups. I did a team review last week and revised my team a bit with Roman Montgomery. Any help's appreciated. Thanks, Mason. Thank you, my guy. So let me send you over those free questions again. So looking at this squad right now, I will say that I would trade, if that's, let me see, is this Tyler Warren or is that Jalen Warren? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. What is our current setup? We are 1-1, 205 points scored. So we are kind of right. We're at the bottom of the league in points scored, but we are 1-1. And so you're essentially, the offer that we have is Bucky and Pitts for Kenneth Walker and Warren. Let me see. Is that Tyler Warren or is that... Yeah, that's Tyler Warren. So Bucky and Pitts for Walker and Warren. Will be interesting to monitor this because you have Zach Charbonnet missing practice. You have Tyler Warren missing practice. So there are a couple injuries that are relevant. But Bucky did just lose a guard for the rest of the season. So it's not a bad deal. But you have Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz is startable here. So I'd probably lean no. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So the skill positional depth's not going to matter a ton. Can y'all please help out in the chat real quick? What side would you rather have? Would you rather have Bucky Irving and Kyle Pitts or Kenneth Walker and Tyler Warren? Bucky Irving and Kyle Pitts or Kenneth Walker and Tyler Warren. Please spam the chat. What side are you going with? This is your team. It's a league in which you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. Okay. But let's see. We got Bucky and Pitts, Walker, Bucky, Walker, Bucky, Walker. Even, but leaning Bucky side. Yeah, again, I think that this is a very fair trade. I think that it is going to be up to you. If, like, Zach Charbonnet was set to actually miss some time with this foot injury, it would be the Kenneth Walker side easily. But if Charbonnet is good to go, Charbonnet still has played more snaps than Kenneth Walker both weeks this year, even if Walker's been the better running back. Quarterback, we have Baker and Love. Purdy really looks like he's coming back soon. I would consider dropping Love for Purdy. Purdy gives you more rushing upside. Running back, we have Sharbs. Down on the bottom of the bench, we can't cut Charbonnet for any of these names. Wide receiver, we can't cut any of these names. This is a great team. Like it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Our starting lineup is Baker, Bucky, Hampton, Jefferson, JSN, Roman the flex. And then we have like Zach Ertz. I love your team. If you wanted to make this trade, I'm okay with it. I know you're in the chat with it. I know you're saying that your running back room is scary. I'd agree. I think that because your running back room, if we can't be 100% certain that we can trust these secondary running backs, I probably hold on to Bucky Irving for now, especially with the fact that you have Zach Ertz. It's not like a move that you need to make. But I think your team's very well situated for this format. Rome Odunze looks like he is a phenomenal flex at this point. Can you please let me know in the chat, do you have any like specific questions with this team? Because overall, I think it's great, and I think you just kind of roll into the rest of the season with it. I know we haven't scored many points yet, but you were saying that we made some changes from where it was earlier. And let me make sure we sent you over those free questions, right? Yeah, we did. Good. Okay, Gabe says it won't allow me to send a team review in with my voucher. Your name is grayed out besides all the other creators. Yes, sir, we are too far behind on questions at the moment, so questions are closed right now. We will let you know when they are open again. Okay. Logan says, one thing I really thought about was maybe splitting Jefferson for a lower tier running back. I wouldn't. You're selling Jefferson right now. You're going to sell it at a massive discount. And if you were playing in a league where you had multiple flexes, I would probably agree. Or if you're playing in a league with multiple flexes, I'd say, you know what, man? Yeah, you probably need to go through and we probably need to do what we can to pick up an additional starter, because it's not like you have a bunch of value down there on the bench. But for how your team is currently situated, it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Like, I think you leave this team as is. I think it's great in terms of the balance that you have on it. And you just roll in rest of the season like this. And obviously continuously work the waiver wire, which the one waiver wire thing I'd be looking at the moment would be dependent on the practice reports with Purdy. If it looks like Purdy's coming back soon, I would consider Purdy over Love, but that's not something we're doing right now. But I wish I had more for you again, but I think you've done a great job with your team, to be honest. I sent you over some other questions if you wanted to follow up with anything. Now, Minty Jimmy with our next question. This is Zay Flowers, Rome, Brock Bowers versus Mixon, Puka Nacua, and Evan Ingram. So 12-team league where you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. After you were to make this trade, our starting lineup would be Puka, Jefferson at wide receiver. Running back would be Javonte and Brees. In the flex, it would be Amari Hampton and Michael Pittman Jr. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I'd say, hell yes, let's go and get the best player. Let's get Puka Nacua. With this being a league in which you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly, I actually think that the wide receiver depth is going to matter a decent amount here. And with that in mind, I would go ahead and I would take the Bowers, Rome, and Flowers side. As Evan Ingram and Joe Mixon are almost effectively zeros at this point. Like, you cannot rely on them. Now, let's move this over. This next one's going to be a team review from TFES Rob. Says, much love, Mason. 0-2. Looking for any type of advice to help improve the team and chances of winning. Whatever it may be, appreciated. Thank you, Mason. Thank you so much, my friend. And excited to check this out. So, we are 0-2 and our points for at the same time. Actually, our points for aren't that bad. We're 4th in this league in points for. It's going to be a 14-teamer. So in general, we got to lower our expectations across the board. And you are in a spot where Kyron and Amari and Hampton are your top 2 RBs. So this is the same exact scenario that Avery's in the Flock League, where you had the same exact start as him, where you went with Jamar wide receiver 1. Then we have at the 2-3 turn, the combo of Hampton as well as Kyron, who obviously have just been disappointing to like a great extent so far this year. Quarterback Kyler Murray's okay. 14-team format, so options on the waiver wire are going to be extremely limited. Dylan Sampson at this point is not worth a roster spot, even in a 14-team league. There's no way you ever start him, even if Judkins were to get injured. Then at that point, he's still split in the backfield with Jerome Ford. So I would cut Dylan Sampson, and I would look at like Jake Browning as a pretty compelling pickup. Then go, actually, no, F it. Cut Dylan Sampson and pick up Joe Mixon. Mixon could be a 0, but at the same time, I think he does give you a better shot to eventually hit your starting lineup. Then we have Jordan Mason kind of saving the day here at running back. Because now we can start Jordan Mason over the rookie running backs here in the short term. So we'll go Kyron and Jordan Mason in at running back. Amari and Hampton, RJ Harvey, Byshell Tootin in the long term. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Tet, and then probably like Igbuka in the flex. Here's the problem with your team, to be honest with you. You should have expected to start off slow. You should have expected to be dead average or near the bottom of the league in total points scored. The reason being is we look at our running back room. 4 of our 6 players are rookies. We go ahead and we look at our wide receiver room. 2 of our 6 players are rookies and 1 is suspended. So half of our team is either a rookie or suspended. So we went through and we aggressively took the approach of long-term upside being the number one thing that we care about and maybe not focusing in too much on the short-term viability of these names. Now, with that in mind, if we were to look to do anything at this point, like I would say in general, you're 0-2. We can't just keep thinking long-term. We do need to find a way to eventually get some points into this starting lineup. So like if you could find a way to squeeze some value out of a player like RJ Harvey, who I still think gives you a tremendous amount of upside in the long term, but if you could find a way to sell RJ Harvey and Igbuka in a 2-for-1 deal and go get a great player for the flex, let's do it. But I don't know if you're going to be able to find somebody in your league to be willing to take on the rookie long-term upside. So if this is the team that you drafted, I think you may just have to go through the growing pains. Again, being 0-2, you do need to start winning games hopefully soon. I'm trying to think if there's like any, the trade would be selling RJ Harvey, selling Jordan Addison, selling these guys to get any upgrade that you could inside your starting lineup. Again, you'd be sacrificing long-term upside, but you'd be getting points in the short term. And that is going to be something that is very important for a team that started off this slow. If you don't make one of those moves, I mean, you're going to be fine at the end of the day if we can start winning games over the next few weeks. Like if you can start off, say, 2-3 in this league, like if we can win 2 of the next 3 weeks, I think you have a good shot to win the league, because at that point we should expect these rookies to start coming on strong and crushing. And the one thing that maybe just saved your ass is Jordan Mason. If it wasn't for Jordan Mason, I'd be way more concerned, and we'd be way more along the lines of you have to make dramatic changes right now. But let me send you over those free questions in case there's anything that you want to follow up with here. The other thing that I will say for sure is cut Dylan Sampson and pick up Joe Mixon. I know Joe Mixon's the same thing. Joe Mixon doesn't give us any short-term production, but neither does Dylan Sampson anyway. It's not like you're starting either one of those players. But yeah, I think the team's better than maybe the record says because, again, you just drafted so much for the future value. Now, Case Alliner says, already have Tet and St. Brown, need a running back 2 and don't believe in the Cowboys. Higgins as a wide receiver 2/flex is okay, ? Javonte to Brees, upgrade. Evans to Higgins, downgrade. It's a league in which the depth matters. Maybe I'm pessimistic. Maybe I'm just trying to have realistic expectations and not get disappointed myself. But for me, I am terrified of T. Higgins at this point. T. Higgins with no Burrow, I am very nervous. Can y'all please spam the chat? Who would you rather have here? Would you rather have the Javonte and Mike Evans side, or would you rather go Brees Hall and T. Higgins? Please let me know in the chat. As for me, I think it's a fair deal. You can just see this with our rankings. I have Javonte and T. Higgins ranked 3 spots apart. I have Mike Evans and Brees Hall ranked 3 spots apart. You're just kind of swapping of 2 packages that are about the same value, in my opinion. Looking at the chat, it looks like the majority, almost every single person here is on the Javonte and Mike Evans side. Not everybody, but the vast majority. So for me, I think it's a personal preference thing, but if everybody in the chat saying Javonte and Evans, my baseline would be, hell, you can probably get some more value. Now, Destillo says, 10 team, 2 receiver, 2 flex. Keep this team or upgrade at running back, tight end, QB. Leftover at wide receiver, we'd have London, Evans, Chase. Yeah, you have so much depth at wide receiver that, hell yes, go and get McCaffrey here. Absolute no-brainer, especially with the Burrow injury making Chase Brown worse. Atbull says, somehow I'm 0-2 and need to get back on track. Well, I think for this week, London is still going to be an auto start. I actually have Rome ranked as wide receiver 12 with how good the game environment should be. And they'll probably go Mike Evans there in the flex. But yeah, Rome, how the hell are you have CMC and Gibbs? How are you 0-2? You have a great team. E. Morales says, in review, neighbors at receiver, HN Kenneth Walker, strong running back. Okay. Yeah, for me, Judkins, Harvey, give me Judkins, but it's close. It's kind of up to you. London versus Quentin Johnson, Stephon Diggs is Drake London by a mile. Easily go with the London side. Now, Jay Jensen Fitz. This will be our next team review. Says, hey, Mason, traded Barkley and Wilson for Chase Brown, Puka. So Barkley to Puka, lateral move. Wilson to Chase Brown, massive upgrade. Love it. And then got Gibbs for Brown, Pickens, Jaden Higgins. There's no way in hell. This is incredible. Think I'm going to get Brian Thomas Jr. and Bill for Igbuka and Javonte. Here's my thought process with your league. Your league mates have no idea what the hell they're doing. We're the number 1 team in the league analyzer. You've just listed off 3 trades where you absolutely robbed them. We are currently 2-0, second in the league standings with the second most points scored. Best team in the analyzer, as we already mentioned. And your league mates especially don't know what they're doing by looking at the waiver wire. You're done making, I don't want to say you're done making trades because your trades have been so good, but you don't need to make any more trades, my guy. Your league mates are dumb enough that they're going to let us win just with waiver wire pivots. Here's the game plan from here. Drop Kareem Hunt and pick up RJ Harvey. Drop Alec Manor and pick up Stephon Diggs. Drop Cedric Tillman and pick up Josh Downs. Drop Dylan Sampson and pick up your call between Brian Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, Caleb Johnson. You make those 4 waiver wire moves, your already extremely stacked team is going to get that much better. And you already know what you're doing with trades. You're already robbing your league mates. Like, I would say your team's so good that, I mean, any trade that I make, I want to make sure that I'm getting the best player in the deal. I want to be making 2-for-1 trades where we sell the depth to get an upgrade inside the starting lineup. Because again, like your team is currently just dominant at the moment. But I don't think there's anything else to discuss. Again, you are in a phenomenal, phenomenal situation. And I think you're winning this league then you do not need my help at all. But let's move this over to our next batch of questions. How many more do we need to go through? All right. We got a decent amount. All right. Now, I cave with our next one. This is a trade. Hey, Mason, wondered if we should make this move. We're sending Jordan Mason, Travis Etienne, Jacoby Myers for Bucky and Tucker Kraft. Give me Kraft over Myers. Give me Bucky over these running backs. Yeah, I would probably go ahead and do this. Unless it's like a 14-team league where depth matters a ton. But it looks like we just hit 700 likes on the stream. So we'll go ahead and we'll send away some another free question in the chat. All you got to do to get that free question again is drop a like on the stream, be subscribed to the channel, and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat so I know who to send that question to. Now, Dustin Drip says 6-point passing touchdown league, 15 yards per point. Is it worth it? If you're telling me you get 15 passing yards equals 1 point, and it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, Jalen Hurts is like one of the worst quarterbacks to possibly have in this league. Like Jalen Hurts, I would rather have Bo Nix straight up over Jalen Hurts. You want Jalen Hurts in a league that you're incentivized to chase the quarterbacks with rushing upside. That's not this. So yeah, I very, very easily go with the Bo Nix side here. Not close. Now, Eli Davis, Sharp, Pacheco, JSN, Golden versus Gibbs and Higgins. Give me Higgins over Golden. Give me Gibbs over JSN. Charbonnet and Pacheco. I know the depth matters a ton here. 14-team league. After this, we'd be starting Hubbard, Gibbs, London, Nico, and Higgins. Yeah, so we have enough depth where you can make this move. Less excited about it in a 14-team format, but still excited nonetheless. Well, let's send this free question out for K's. Just sent that over to you, my guy. Again, appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Okay. And let's move this over to our next question. This one's from Manny. This is Amari Hampton and Tyler Warren versus Brees and Ayuk. Yeah, easily the Hampton and Tyler Warren side. Hampton's not dead, guys. He still has a ton of long-term upside. Ryan trading Judkins and Worthy for Ladd. Give me Ladd easily. Unless that injury is serious, but I mean, all we know as of now is he missed practice. BD5, Jordan Mason's going to be an auto start this week. I would still start Amari and Hampton over Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. And then, yeah, obviously you're jamming the receivers in the flex spots here. Now, Titan VTS with the start set. Running back, give me Amari and Hampton still over those other options. Like, I know Hampton's been, he's averaged 5 points a game. The dude's still averaging over 70% of the snaps played. None of these other running backs are coming close. We'll go Ladd McConkey at wide receiver, assuming he's good to go. Tucker Kraft over Zach Ertz. And then there in the flex, I'm going to go Keenan Allen over Travis Hunter. Okay. Now, It's Josh says, I wasn't able to get Jones off the wire. Thanks. Let's look at this. So we need a quarterback in that instance. We're trading St. Brown to Nico and Etienne. We're trading Kamara to Jalen Hurts. I think you're losing this trade. What are the other quarterbacks on your waiver wire? Jake Browning, McCarthy. So yeah, I understand if like all your league mates are rostering 2 to 3 QBs and it's like, man, this is my only shot to actually get a quarterback where I don't have to start freaking Carson Wentz. Like, I understand the thought process. I understand you going and getting Jalen Hurts here. But I do want to be on the same page. You're probably losing when it comes to the value side of this. Like, the value of the deal, in my opinion, is probably on the Alvin Kamara side. Now, Sandman with a trade. Says I have Brown and Brian Thomas Jr. Evans more consistent. What do you think? Swift to Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, lateral move up to you. A.J. Brown to Mike Evans, lateral move up to you. For me, I would probably go with the A.J. Brown side, but that's because I'm confident with an A.J. Brown bounce back. But I understand if you're not confident with it. Like, I completely understand if you are concerned here. But I'd probably go A.J. Brown and Swift myself. Now, Heifer with our next one says, need to improve running backs and quarterback. Any advice? Okay. Always happy to see you, my guy. We are the third team in the league analyzer. We're 1-1. We scored 199 points. So we actually have by far and away the worst team in the league in terms of total points scored. This is a 10-team league where we can start 8 players, so the skill positional depth does matter somewhat. Looking at options that could make this team better immediately, I would drop Dylan Sampson and I'd pick up Trey Benson. First thing we're doing here. The second thing that we are doing is, and really this is like the only thing we are doing, this is the main thing you have to do with this roster, and it's not even remotely close. My guy, we have Jefferson, London, Brian Thomas, Mike Evans. We have 4 wide receivers that we are starting every single week, regardless of the matchup. 4 elite guys here. And then we have Rome Odunze, our wide receiver 5. Egbuka, our wide receiver 6. And this is before we even get Rashee Rice back in. So what does this look like when you get Rice in this offense? It's going to be even better. Like, you have to sell wide receivers here and get upgrades elsewhere. Like, I would go ahead. I would try my best to sell Mike Evans and DeAndre Swift in a 2-for-1 deal to get a better running back. Can we sell Swift and Evans to get Genty? Can I sell Jefferson for any of the elite running backs? McCaffrey, Gibbs, Bijan, Barkley. You could possibly even throw Taylor in there. Can I sell Drake London for Achane, Bucky, Josh Jacobs? Can I sell Brian Thomas for Kyron Williams potentially? Can I sell Drake London for Josh Allen? Can I sell, even throw in Caleb Williams. Can I sell Drake London and Caleb Williams for Josh Allen? Can I sell Drake London and Caleb Williams for Lamar Jackson? Can I sell Mike Evans and Caleb Williams for Jalen Hurts? Can I sell Mike Evans and Caleb Williams for Jaden Daniels? My guy, you have so much value with this team. You have to make trades. Like, our bench is probably better than other people's starting lineups. I think you're in a really, really good spot, and we just have to try to find any way that we can to convert some of this wide receiver value into running back or quarterback. But please, I know you're in the chat. Do you have anything specific other than like those 10 or so trades that we've thrown out that you would be interested in besides that? Froling Ever says, no, I'm trying to make those trades right now for sure. Well, I really appreciate you. Let me send you over some more of those free vouchers, my guy. You know I always am happy to see you in the stream. And I think your team's going to be really good if we can just go and upgrade those 2 positions, which you already knew that. You already sent that message in. But yeah, I think your team's going to be great, my guy. But let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be from Noah. Says, have Lamb, JSN, Marv, JT, Brees, Javonte, running Javonte the flex. Should I trade Marv and Brees for an RB? Yeah, I think if you can. Like the running back range I'd be looking at, if you could get Bucky, if you could get Genty, if you could get anybody like that, then sure, let's go for it. Now, Jonah with the start sit. Running back, we're going to go ETN, Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, give me Puka Nacua and Brian Thomas. Tight end, give me Strange. And then in the flex, we're going to go with Brees Hall. Motherflocker with the super message. Says, using the waiver wire my team so I can take best available or try to... I can't see your team if you just send in a super message, my guy. I'm really sorry. I'll send you over some free vouchers for the other questions. But yeah, super messages are meant to just be like quick little questions if you have them. I can't see your team. Nanoof here, wide receiver. We are going to go ahead, play London and Evans. And then here for the flex, I don't want to go with the rookie running backs. We're going to go Terry McLaurin and then probably Keenan Allen. I do think we get some regression for Keenan, though. Okay. Now, Port 45 with our next question. Says, am I crazy for wanting to start Warren over Kyron? Yes, you are crazy. Matchup's so much better for Jalen Warren. But here, let's fill this out. You would actually probably start, I know we're going to go Javonte here. Yeah, I think you go Kyron, Genty, Javonte in the flex. You don't overthink it. And then we go Jacoby Myers there at wide receiver. I think this one says user refunded. Okay, so we're just going to mark next question. I'm assuming that one of the devs changed that text, which is funny. Ivan with our next one. This is Judkins, Xavier Worthy versus Tet McMillan. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Running backs, we have Bijan and RG Harvey. Here's the thing, man. I think Tet's the winning value side, but you're telling me you want Dylan Sampson to be your RB3 and RG Harvey to be your RB2? No, you're not in a position where you can be selling running backs. Now, Ben Brown says 12-team PPR traded Pitts, Garrett Wilson, Ayuk for A.J. Brown. We have Kraft, Hunter, Downs, Io Manor for depth. I like it. I think Pitts is almost nothing. If you have Kraft, Pitts is not worth the roster spot. Ayuk's pretty much nothing. So you flip Garrett Wilson for A.J. Brown? I'm a fan. Okay. Now let me refresh this real quick. See how many more questions we have. I thought we just refreshed. Do we need to? Let me sign out, sign in. God, and my voice is killing me. Okay. Okay, we are back up. So what we're going to do real quick, I'm going to get through all the quick questions so I can take inventory of how many team reviews we have to go through. So let's get through all the start, sit, trade, and super messages real quick. How many do we have? Not too many. They with the trade. Tootin, Marv, Pittman for Gibbs. Give me Gibbs. Not close. Phenomenal trade. Dustin says, or should we do this instead? Need a quarterback or tight end? I don't see what this accomplishes. I'd rather have Kyron Williams over A.J. Brown. If you need a QB tight end, what does trading Kyron for A.J. Brown do? D4MW says, hey, man, love the content. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate you, as always, my guy. We're going to go Dak Prescott. The game has a really high over-under. Here, running back. Give me the combo of Chase Brown and Amari. No, I'm sorry. We're going to go Genty. Wide receiver, we're going to go with Metcalf and Tyreek. Throw Tyreek in at wide receiver. Throw Metcalf in the flex. Metcalf hasn't been great, but I do think that the matchup this week against the Pats is really strong. Okay. Now, Cora says 0-2 with the number 1 team on the My Teams page. What do we do? We have Kyler, Hampton, Achane, Godwin versus Hurts, Genty, Aaron Jones, and Jordan Addison. Achane to Ginty downgrade. Hampton to Aaron Jones downgrade. Godwin to Addison downgrade. Just for us to get Jalen Hurts? No, you're not doing this. Like, if I was going to do this deal, here's how it would look. I would want to keep Hampton and they keep Aaron Jones. If you want to trade Kyler, Achane, Godwin for Hurts, Ginty, Addison, then sure, do it. But there's no reason for us to also give them Hampton for nothing. Mother Flocka trading Debo and Jefferson for Puka and Henderson. Oh, yeah, I'd definitely go get Puka here. Puka looks to be in a different tier than Jefferson at this point. Gonzo is trading Jalen Ward and Jamison Williams for Breece Hall. It's a 12-team start 8 format. And J-Mo's like our wide receiver 5. So I think you can afford to make this deal. Your wide receiver room is loaded. Boogie says, I just traded for Breece, lost Myers and Warren. We'd lost Myers and Warren. We have Breece now, though. I'd play Breece in the flex over Keenan Allen in that case. Yeah, I'll take Keenan out and put Breece in. Okay. Now, Profit's Profit trading Kamara and Evans for Achane and Thomas. You're upgrading 2 spots here. It's a no-brainer. I understand Brian Thomas has been horrible, but he's had the volume and he's a talented player. He'll be okay. Port says, Superflex need quarterback after the Burrow injury. Then yeah, this is a great deal. Feel like I'm getting fleeced because I'm desperate. What are your thoughts? This is a 12-team Superflex league, man. I mean, what are we expecting? Like, we have Bo Nix and that's it. T. Higgins gets crushed. Like, I'm okay with you making this trade. I would 100% approach every team in your league for a quarterback before you just accept this one, as you're definitely paying a premium. But the Burrow injury just kills your team because you had both the Burrow and the Higgins stack. So in a Superflex league, you lose Burrow. I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. You're probably losing the league. Like, you are naturally in a very desperate spot, but trading for Kyler probably keeps you in it. Now, Hypnotic Goop trading Sharps, Walker, Chase for Gibbs and Brian Thomas. Give me Gibbs over Chase, Brian Thomas versus the Seattle backs. Honestly, I'm going to go with the Gibbs side. I'm terrified about Jamar. I have T. Higgins. I'm terrified about the Bengals wide receivers now. Boogie Shack says, I just traded for Breece. We lost. Okay, so we just answered this for you earlier, my guy. Never feel like you got to send in a question twice. We always, we will never miss a question if you answer. I mean, we will never miss a question if you submit one. It's just impossible with the system that we have set up. And that's why we turned off the questions, so we can make sure that, like, we need to have a system on the site. And that's how the system is set up, where if you ever send in a question on flockfantasy.com, you know for 100% fact that you are getting an answer, right? So if it does take me a little bit of time, don't feel like you need to send in it a second time. I promise you I'm going to answer it. We just go in order in the ones that we get. Now, Mother Flocka traded Marv and Hawkinson for Brock Bowers. I have Hawkinson myself with my own fantasy team. And at the same time, I'm the first person to admit that this dude he's toast. He's nothing. So you can trade Marv for Bowers. 100% no-brainer. Look, like, Bowers is going to outscore Marv, and you get a tight end. Loco trading Ginty and Henderson for Pollard and London. Ginty versus London, I would rather have Ginty slightly. Henderson versus Pollard, I'd rather have Henderson. So I'm going to go with the Henderson and Ginty side. And I'm saying this as somebody who has Tony Pollard on their own team. Now, Sukato says, hey, I'm thinking of starting a running back at the flex instead of wide receiver. What do you think? So right now, our running back at the flex, no, you can't. Full BBR format, your best running back at the flex would be like Ramondre. There's probably a back on your bench that's going to do well. Whether that's Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, David Montgomery, Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson. But it's not best ball. You'd have to call your shot. Like, how are you calling your shot on which one of these running backs produces? So I would go ahead and I would plan on going with Garrett Wilson here for sure. Now, Gauss with the start set. Running back, we're going to go Kenneth Walker and DeAndre Swift. James Conner's role sliding away from him. I would still put Connor in the flex spot over these other wide receivers, however, but I'm definitely becoming very concerned about James Conner. Belch says, worth trading away Jamar or Brian Thomas Jr. for anyone? Let me just pull up my rankings and I'll show you the wide receivers that I'd rather have. So the wide receivers currently that I would personally rather have over Jamar, I would rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb. If you can get any of those wide receivers, yeah. The wide receivers I'd rather have over Brian Thomas, London, Nico, JSN, Jefferson, Chase, St. Brown, then obviously the elite players. Now, let's refresh this. Do we have any more non-team reviews? Okay, no, we do not. How many team reviews do we have in the chamber right now? Don't be a lot. Don't be. Oh, we have a zillion. Okay. This is a problem. I was really hoping I could go to bed at about 1 tonight, but looks like this is going to be a long stream, ladies and gentlemen. TFES Rob. Appreciate you hanging out with us as always. Hey, Mason, 1-1, looking for any type of advice. We are Team Vicky. I feel like we looked at this before. No, maybe not. We're 1-1, but with that being said, we are at the very bottom of the league with points scored. And at the same time, we are at the very bottom of the league with value, if you're looking at the league analyzer. So you're in a situation, my guy, in which you 100% need to make a play. We need to do something here. Anything. First thing is the easy moves with the waiver wire pivots. Malik Washington, this dude will never hit your starting lineup. I can't even imagine what would have to happen for you to put him in. Cut Malik Washington, pick up Joe Mixon. I would also cut Ollie Gordon for Ray Davis because they're both just handcuffed running backs, but I would rather have the handcuffed running back in Buffalo than the handcuffed running back in Miami. Now, going over and looking at what we have with the wide receivers on the waiver wire versus, we have Jaden Higgins, Luther Burden. If Jalen Coker is on your IR, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut Jalen Coker regardless. Because if Jalen Coker's on your IR, cut Malik Washington, move Jalen Coker out of your IR slot, cut Jalen Coker. Then we should have the open roster spot for the IR, and we should have the open roster spot for the bench. Then in that case, you pick up Joe Mixon, slide him into the IR. Then with that open bench spot, you're going to pick up either Jaden Higgins or Luther Burden. And then we're going to follow it up with, again, cutting Ollie Gordon for Ray Davis. So I think you make the combination of those like 4 just moves at the bottom of your bench, this team's going to immediately get better. then from there, what we probably need to be doing is I would consider, here's the thing. You're not starting Tua this week. If he's in your lineup, take him out. So I would cut Tua and I'd pick up McCarthy. Sounds like Purdy's going to be back sooner rather than later. And honestly, if Burrow's on your eye, like there's no point in rostering Burrow at this point. If Burrow's on your actual bench, you just straight up cut Burrow and you pick up like Jeremy McNichols. You pick up Luther Burden. But if Burrow's on your IR, then you can leave him there. But I would cut Tua. I would pick up McCarthy. And then in the long term, when McCarthy and Purdy are both healthy, you can go ahead and you can cut Stafford and just roll with Purdy and McCarthy going into the future. But you don't have any expendable assets for trades. I'm going to send you over a free trade voucher. I'm going to send you over a free start set as well, just in case you have any follow-ups here. But I think, to be honest with you, I know you're 1-1, but you're at the bottom of the league in total points scored, and you're at the bottom of the league with the league analyzer here on the site. I think you're in a really bad spot. I don't think you have the expendable value for trades. I think you just need to be going through and making those waiver wire pivots to try to help out. But I really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be coming out from Kay Soliner. It says, after my trade this week, I feel very comfortable with the wide receiver core. I believe we'll get lots of work by the fantasy playoffs, and Higgins should be good by then as well. So let's pull this up. We are the second team in the league analyzer. We are 1-1. We've had 274 points scored, so we're kind of near the top of the league with total points scored. We have Lamar Jackson at quarterback. We have Chase Brown, Brees, Pollard at running back. We are just rostering way too many wide receivers here. That's going to be the main issue with this team. What world do you ever put DeAndre Hopkins in your starting lineup? Like, you can't get away with rostering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide receivers when Jake Ferguson's our standalone tight end and we have 4 running backs. Cut DeAndre Hopkins. Pick up probably Ollie Gordon if you just wanted a premium handcuff. Or if we wanted another tight end, if we're not in love with Jake Ferguson for the long term and think that there is some downside with Ferg. I think that you could also go ahead and you can look to pick up like Jonnu Smith. Then looking at what we need to do from then, it's a league in which we can start 4 receivers weekly. Our starting lineup is Lamar at quarterback, Ferg at tight end, Chase, Brees at running back, St. Brown, Tet, a wide receiver, Pollard in one flex, Higgins in the other flex. Then we have Pearsall, Golden, Downs, Ayuk, Hollywood on the bench with Trey Benson. Again, I'm going to cut DeAndre Hopkins. I think the main thing that you have to wait for is you just have to wait for some of these bench wide receivers to become valuable. Because, like, if Matthew Golden pops off where all of a sudden you're actually able to sell Matthew Golden for something, then all of a sudden, cool. Like, if we can sell Golden and Tony Pollard and go get a better running back for the flex, let's go for it. I'm just not sure that we should expect that we are able to do so. Like, we're not going to be able to right now. Like, that's something that we know for a fact. But I really appreciate you. And again, I don't want to be rostering this many options when it comes to the wide receiver position. Cut DeAndre Hopkins and pick up a running back. And then for trades, I think you're eventually going to try to sell some of this wide receiver depth. But the issue with it is I don't know if anybody's going to be excited to buy the wide receiver depth until some of those bench guys start doing something. Because right now they're not. Now let's move this over to Rich Pedro. It says running back room is in shambles. Went from 1 to 6 in the analyzer. I think Browning will force feed Chase, but this might be the highest I can sell. Also not scoring many points right now. Made a few waiver wire moves, but I'm not convinced. So I moved Chase. Do I chill? Appreciate your hard work, my guy. Appreciate you sticking with us for so long, my guy. I know you've been with us for a long, long time here. Let me send you over those free questions before I forget. Our team name is least likely to win. And yeah, we are currently 7th in the league analyzer with the overall spots. Obviously, it'll be different position by position. So let me send you over these questions. And then let's see. We are 1-1. We've scored 176 points. So we are third to last in this league with total points scored. Obviously not super confident in that. It's a league in which you can only start 2 wide receivers, and you have the same exact problem as the last team. I mean, they look almost identical here. That you're in a situation in which you're rostering 7 receivers. Like, you need to go out there and you need to do what you can to try to sell some of these wide receivers. If you could pivot from Jamar to a running back, let's go for it. Here are the running backs that I have ranked over Jamar at this point. There are a lot of them, just the warning. Jamar Chase is currently here at 13. If you could sell Chase, I'm going to try to get Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey, Barkley, Gibbs, Bijan first. If you can't get one of those great running backs, then at that point, maybe you pivot down to like Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving. I'm actually going to move Chase ahead of Bucky with the report that we just got with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers having yet another offensive line injury. I'm not going to move Bucky down my running back rankings, but I'm going to move him down my overall ranks. So I would sell Chase for one of those running backs. Because then we can start, like, if you trade Chase for, say, Jonathan Taylor, you start Taylor, Hampton, Swift, and at running back in the flex. Wide receiver, we're just not in a good spot. I do not like your team. The Burrow injury just kills this team. We at least have the elite quarterback. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Oh, dear God. What the hell can you do with this? The Worthy injury killed us. The Burrow injury killed us. The rookies aren't producing. What are the quarterbacks on the waiver wire? Goff's out there, and you may have to sell Lamar. I hate to say it, but you may have to sell Lamar for one of those running backs that we were just discussing. Let me go ahead and let's pull this up. The running backs that I have ranked around Lamar Jackson, I have Lamar at 18 overall in my rankings rest of season. I have James Cook, Genty in the same tier, but I would sell Lamar for sure for James Cook. I'm sorry, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, CMC. Like, let's go look at the teams that are garbage at quarterback here. This team has Drake May as their QB. Maybe you want to go Lamar for May and Chase Brown, but I'm not that excited about Brown. I don't want to be in on this Bengals offense now. This team has Genty. Could we sell Lamar for Kyler and Genty? This team is Herbert. Can we sell Lamar for James Cook and Justin Herbert? Can we sell Lamar for Bucky and Herbert? And then again, like, you're in such an awkward spot. I hate rostering this many receivers, but none of these wide receivers people will buy right now. While at the same time, like, we don't have like the wide receiver, like all these wide receivers have long-term upside, but we can't sell them for anything right this second. But we don't want to get rid of them because they have the long-term upside. So I hate to say it, but I think you may have to sell Lamar now and then hopefully get a couple wide receiver breakouts. And then eventually sell some wide receivers down the road. But you're not going to be able to right now just because I don't know who's buying those receivers. Unless, again, you can sell Chase for Gibbs. You sell Chase for Gibbs. Do it in a heartbeat. Now, Arch Revan coming through with our next question. Appreciate you. Says, thinking of upgraded wide receiver. Who can we trade? Let me send you over some free questions. We are second in the league analyzer right now, but we are 0-2. Now, looking at our points scored, we are 4th in the league with total points scored. So actually, the league analyzer is right. Like, these are the good teams up here. You've just gotten unlucky, I guess, with the matchups. It looks like points against, yeah, you are top 3 in most points scored against you. So you've just been brutalized here with your matchup so far. Now, this is a 1 quarterback format. We're rostering 3 QBs. That's the first thing that we need to address. Here's what you need to do. You need to figure out, would you rather play Jared Goff or would you rather play Daniel Jones this week? If you would rather play Goff, you cut Daniel Jones. If you would rather play Jones, you cut Jared Goff. You don't need to think further than past this week because long-term, we do have Jaden Daniels here regardless. So cut one of the quarterbacks, whichever one that you are not going to play, and then go out there and pick up Jalen Waddle. Super easy addition. Then looking at what we have at running back, we currently are sitting with Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Travis Etienne. So 3 locked and loaded running backs that we can trust right now and that give us long-term upside. And then we have the long-term upside appeal of Trey Benson and Byshell Tootin. So we are in a really comfortable spot here at the running back position, even with the Aaron Jones injury. Wide receiver, we have Brian Thomas, Evans, Rome, Devonta Smith, Ricky Pearsall. It's a league in which you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. You have an incredible team. This team's awesome. You've just gotten very unlucky. 1 with Brian Thomas so far this year. He should be much better going into the future. And 2 with the matchups because, hell, again, you are near the top of the league with total points scored. So what I'm probably going to look to do here is, if you wanted to get that wide receiver upgrade, you have the running back floor where you reasonably could sell the combo of like Travis Etienne and Mike Evans to try to get to an elite receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, you can try to make that play if you wanted. Now, frankly, I don't think you need to. I think that you have a great team, and I think your team's going to be fine here kind of regardless. But if you were going to make a trade, that's probably what it hinges on. It's you selling the running back 3 and whichever wide receiver. I would opt to sell anybody but Brian Thomas right now, just because realistically, if you were to sell Brian Thomas, I just think you're getting nothing for him. But I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here, my guy. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. And let me double check. Yeah, send you over those free questions if you had anything that you want to follow up with. Now, Vay coming through with our next one. Says, what moves are worth making, if any? Running back room feels weak. Offered Toot, Pitt, Mar for Gibbs. Definitely want Gibbs here. Not close. Also, could maybe trade Marvin a second for Jacobs or McCaffrey. Is that too pricey? So this is a keeper league where you only keep like one guy. That second round pick is incredibly valuable next year. So I would say in general, I'm not exactly wanting to trade those future picks if we can avoid it. Now, if you were going to make that deal, it would be for McCaffrey. It wouldn't be for Jacobs. Now, I need some trades I can make for a running back that won't hurt the team too much. So we are currently 3rd in the league analyzer. We're 1-1. We are in the middle of the league in terms of total points scored so far. Looking at what we have with this league, it is a start 8 format. So we can get 4 wide receivers into our starting lineup weekly. We have Josh Allen. So we have the elite level QB as of now. There's nothing that we need to do. Obviously, we are starting him every single week, regardless of matchup. Don't need to roster another, even if Kyler Murray on the waiver wire is like a phenomenal ad. Like, to be honest with you, man, I may pick up Kyler Murray here, which I hate saying that. I never want to say that. If you're in a spot in which, again, you have Josh Allen. But Kyler Murray's a quarterback tier, especially with all the injuries that we have, that I wouldn't be surprised if you could actually end up selling him for something. And Jaden Higgins is an easy drop. Drop Jaden Higgins, pick up Kyler Murray. But also there are other interesting ads as well. Trey Benson, phenomenal ad here. I would go ahead and I would cut Mark Andrews. For Trey Benson. Yeah, cut Andrews for Benson, cut Jaden Higgins for Kyler Murray, and hopefully we can eventually sell Kyler for running back that way. We have David Montgomery to start at running back 2 as of now. Obviously, we're not super excited about that. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Tet, and Marv Rome. Here's the thing. You can start 4 wide receivers here weekly. Your wide receiver 2 is going to be better than most people. Your wide receiver 3 is going to be better than anybody else's in the league. Your wide receiver 4 is better than anybody else's in the league. So you're crushing at quarterback, at tight end, at wide receiver 1, 2, flex 1, and flex 2. Yeah, we're weak at running back 2. Who cares? We can be weak at 1 spot in this league. You're going to be okay. So I don't think you trade for a running back right now. I think that you have a great team. I think that you're good to sit with this as is. Now, of course, I want to be making those waiver wire pivots. But is there anything else that we can say here with this? I think your team's going to be good, to be honest. Where are we in the league analyzer? 3rd in the league analyzer. And to be completely honest with you, when you drop Jaden Higgins and Mark Andrews and you pick up Kyler Murray and Trey Benson, I wouldn't be surprised if you jumped to 2nd or 1st. And then obviously long term, we'd be looking to try to trade one of the quarterbacks. I mean, hell, if like our running back room ends up falling flat, maybe you sell Josh Allen if we can't sell Kyler Murray for anything, but pick up Kyler for sure for now to give us that optionality. But let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be from Who's Ryan. Let me send you over some free questions here, my guy. Says, anyone on the waivers you'd suggest was able to get Bo Nix off the waiver wire? People are stingy with trades in the league. However, any suggestions would be appreciated. Who's Ryan? I know you sent this a long time ago. Is there any shot that you're still in this live stream? Because right now it's saying that this is a non-PPR format. And if this truly is a non-PPR league, I would really like to know so we can optimize accordingly. But we are currently 2nd in the league analyzer. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. And if it's a non-PPR format, man, we can't be rostering this many receivers. Because generally wide receiver, we won't want to put in our flex spot anyway. And they're just naturally going to make up a lower percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. I can probably tell if it's a non-PPR based on the amount of points scored. There's no way this is a non-PPR league, right? This team is 266 points. So, I mean, we have a great team. We are tied for the 2nd most points in this league. We're 2-0 as well. So we're actually currently sitting number 1 spot in the league standings. So looking at what we have here at quarterback, we have Bo Nix and Caleb to play the matchups between. Super excited about it. Nothing to discuss here. You're in a great spot. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Chase Brown, Alvin Kamara, Chuba Hubbard. So we have 3 quality RBs. Tony Pollard is a great option for now as well. Here's the thing. You have 4 startable RBs. You have like 4 startable wide receivers, and this is a league where you can start 2 receivers in a flex. We can send away Chuba Hubbard. Let's send Chuba and Bo Nix to go get Jalen Hurts, to go get Jaden Daniels. To go, obviously, if we could go like, I would try to send Alvin Kamara and Bo Nix to get Lamar. Alvin Kamara and Bo Nix to get to Josh Allen. Alvin Kamara and Travis Kelce to get to Brock Bowers, to get to Trey McBride. You have enough of that wide receiver depth. I would say in terms of easy waiver wire pivots, you're already doing a great job with this team. I don't see many. I would drop Hollywood Brown for Josh Downs personally. So I think based off how strong your roster is, again, you're number one in the league. You have plenty of depth at both running back and wide receiver, and you have the top end studs at both positions as well. I would go ahead. I would try to sell one of those assets and get an upgrade and get the elite quarterback or get the elite level tight end, just mainly because you can afford it, to be honest. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. And let me make sure that we sent you over those free questions. Yeah, we sent you over those free questions. Which is what I thought. Now let's send this over to Saram. Okay. Now, Saram, if y'all don't know, always out here. Maybe I haven't been as active in the chat this year. Obviously, been following more stuff with the site than usual. So maybe he's here just as much as always, but he used to be out here every single day in the stream. Says, yes, Mason, hope you and the family are doing well. Really happy and excited for you and the missus. Congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much. And yes, it is a bad day for Sydney Sweeney. We all know that. But 0-2, starting to worry, but the analyzer says it may not be panic situation just yet. But any suggestions? All right, so let's take a look at this. Right now, we are third in the league analyzer. In terms of points against, you're just playing, okay, Saram's out here, so we can actually go back and forth with him here. So you're playing garbage defense so far, my guy. You have allowed 264 points to be scored against you. You have allowed more points scored against you than anybody else in this league. Like, you've actually scored a decent amount of points. That's not that big of a concern. I feel like you've just gotten a little unlucky here. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I will say the first thing that pops out to me is the fact that we're rostering 3 tight ends. You got to cut bait on Mark Andrews. How could we ever put Mark Andrews into our starting lineup? He has been set up in the perfect situations. Absolute perfect. Where the Baltimore Ravens offense has gone nuclear. You've had no Isaiah Likely. And he has scored 1.5 and 1.4 fantasy points. So at this point, I would cut Andrews. In terms of who we would pick up, I would probably pick up Caleb Johnson or Josh Downs. Because this is a league in which you only... Here, you know what? To be honest with you, man. You have Worthy injured. You have no Rice right now. I think you probably pick up Josh Downs. Downs may hit your starting lineup over the next month. We have the elite quarterback with Lamar. We have Gibbs, Chase Brown, so we're great there. The Worthy injury kills us because we also had Rice out as is, right? So having no Rice and Worthy just cuts into the overall depth that we had with wide receivers here dramatically. So when you're starting your lineup here, we have Gibbs, Chase Brown, Tet, Wilson, and then our flex is like freaking Stephon Diggs right now. He's not even playing all the snaps. So I think you need a better flex. The way to go about this is maybe just to be like, I would like to say, hey man, we just got to be patient here. Because if you had Worthy, everything's all fine. No concerns whatsoever. If you had Rashee Rice back, no concerns whatsoever. But missing both of those players puts you in a very compromising spot. Let me see what the latest update is with Xavier Worthy. So here's the latest report. Xavier Worthy practiced today and is trending towards playing versus Sunday versus the Giants. He's reportedly dealing with a fully torn labrum. So he's at practice. I think you give it one more week. If Xavier Worthy comes in and Xavier Worthy doesn't perform for us in the flex, or if he doesn't play in general, and we fall to 0-3, what you're going to have to do in that instance is you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to trade away Rashee Rice for whatever you can get, to be honest. But I'm going to send you over some of those free questions again. If there's anything that you want to follow up with, I'd be happy to look at it. I think you just need a better flex, and for that, primarily, I think you are just going to need to see either Worthy or Rice become viable. And if it is going to be if it is going to be Worthy this week, then maybe we don't need to sell Rice. But then, of course, on the flip side of that, if Worthy can't play this weekend or he looks like he's unusable with the torn labrum, then at that point, you may need to pivot over. And, of course, you may need to trade away Rashee Rice. But I want to give it one more week. Again, as well, because you've actually scored a decent amount of points, even though you are 0-2. Like, you're in a spot in which you could climb up the standings quickly if we just start winning games. Like, we're not out of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's move this over. I'm going to have to pull up these screenshots on the other screen real quick. Give me 1 second. And as I do this, I will remind you, if you haven't already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I'm doing everything I can to grind us away to 300,000 subscribers. It's past midnight. We're streaming. I'm not going to miss a single day live streaming answering your fantasy football questions until Christmas. So go down there, hit that like, and subscribe if you have not done so already. And let's pull up what we have with the screenshots for this one. This is from Trevor05. Says, what's the overall take on the team? Targets, tradeaways, etc., etc. Okay, so let's pull this up. Says he just finalized a trade. He sent Tyler Ward and Michael Pittman for McMillan and Quentin Johnston. Michael Pittman and Quentin Johnston for me are about the same. Tet McMillan versus Tyler Warren are also about the same. So I think it's going to depend on the team when we pull this up on if we like that deal or not. Okay. So here is the roster. This is an ESPN league, so you should be able to link your league with the site, my guy. But we'll look at it nonetheless. It is a league in which you start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 2 flexes. So in a league in which you can effectively start up to 4 wide receivers here weekly, I do actually like the trade, because then in that instance, right, like you had Zach Ertz in your flex spot like a freaking psychopath. So now you can just move Zach Ertz in at tight end and move Tet McMillan to your flex. Looking at quarterback, we have the elite QB with Josh Allen. I'm assuming that this actually is a league with boosted quarterback scoring as well, because Josh Allen projects to score 28 points. And I'd be very surprised if that was like the regular projection in a league where you only get 1 point per 25 passing yards, and also in a league where you only get 4 points per passing touchdown. Now, looking over at what we have with running, or let's go to the bench real quick. We're not rostering another quarterback, are we? No, cool. Looking at running back, we have James Conner, we have Bucky Irving, and then down on the bench, we have Trey Benson, thank God, Woody Marks. So here's my thing, man. I think running back's going to be the weakest position on your team. It does look like it's kind of turning into a running back by committee in Arizona, which means that James Conner is going to be less exciting. And at the same time, we just had a significant injury to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line, which is slightly going to concern me for Bucky Irving. So here's what I think you got to do, to be honest. I think you need to go through, and I think you need to potentially consider just rostering a couple more running backs down here on the bench. Like for me, you can't justify putting Dimey Brown on your bench. When do you ever start Dimey Brown? When could that ever happen? You're never putting him in your lineup. In best ball, sure. He's going to randomly have some good weeks and he'll randomly slide into your starting lineup. But in like a regular fantasy football league where you would have to predict when Dimey Brown's going to be useful and you're going to have to actually put him in yourself, good luck with that. So cut Dimey Brown, pick up another running back. I would say cut the Atlanta Falcons DST, pick up another running back. Especially cutting Dimey Brown after you've made the trade for Tet McMillan, because your wide receiver room's loaded. Wide receiver, you have Lamb, Tet, Jacoby Myers, Quentin Johnston, Jerry Jeudy. Like, you have plenty of wide receiver depth. And then looking at tight end, we traded away Tyler Warren, so we have Zach Ertz. So it's a fine team. I think given the fact that this looks like it's probably like a 6-point passing touchdown format, or there's some type of QB boosted scoring, looks like we should be able to win a lot of games by having Josh Allen here. Obviously, we're already doing well to start the season. The main thing that I would just try to optimize for is, if possible, I would be trying to roster as many running backs as we possibly could down there on the bench, and that would include dropping Dimey Brown as well as dropping the backup DST. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. But let's move this over. And let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with. And let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be from JG Luck 8711. Here's the thing. We may have to do these tomorrow. How long have we been live? It's past midnight. I need to get to bed. I would rather stream for like 5 hours tomorrow during the day when it's not like 1:30 in the morning on the East Coast. And tomorrow I can save recording the flex video until during the game. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, Jonathan says this is him. So Jonathan, we will get this done for you right now. But I think we'll probably end up doing a lot of these team reviews with the live stream tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll probably push that live stream to like 5 hours. Okay. Says, hey man, top of the league at the moment. Feel like the team is solid across the board. Injuries hurting me, but let me know if you think there's anything we could do to make the squad better. So we are number one in the league with the league analyzer. We are the number one in the league with total points scored, and we are number one in the league with our record. So absolutely love to see it. Now, looking at what we have with quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. So honestly, for us to be number 1 in the league in total points scored with Jalen Hurts ultimately being disappointing so far, like, that is incredibly impressive. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker. Walker looks like he's trending upwards, especially if you consider that you have Zach Charbonnet now missing practice dealing with a foot injury. We have Rachaad White as the premium handcuff. Brian Robinson is the premium handcuff. Now, clearly, Aaron Jones' injury does not look great for us. I will say, what's the upside with Kenneth Gainwell? There is none. Cut Kenneth Gainwell. I would way rather have, let's say, Ray Davis, where if you were to get an injury to James Cook, I'm pretty damn confident Ray Davis is somebody that we're putting into our starting lineup. Jaylen Warren goes down. I don't know if you can put in Kenneth Gainwell, to be honest. Now, looking at what we have at receiver, we have 2 of the true elite level wide receivers with Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have Chris Olave, wide receiver 3, Keenan, wide receiver 4. Looking at Hunter Renfrow got cut before the season started. Here's the thing. Once Jalen Coker gets off the IR, Hunter Renfrow could get cut again. This is a garbage offense. I know he scored a couple touchdowns. He looked really good this past week in that game against the Cardinals in garbage time. I would rather have Darnell Mooney. Cut Hunter Renfrow for Mooney. Going over and looking at tight end, we have Kittle, I'm assuming on the IR. So in reality, we're really only rostering 2 tight ends with a combination of Kincaid and Zach Ertz. So really like what we have at tight end currently. This is a great team. This is a league in which we can start 4 wide receivers here weekly. So with that in mind, like, you are in a spot in which you aren't necessarily incentivized to go through and try to sell like Amon-Ra St. Brown for a running back here. Because our starting lineups, Etienne, Walker, Puka, St. Brown, Olave, Keenan. Instead, I would try to optimize for the running backs again that are an injury away from possibly turning into league winners, especially after we have the Aaron Jones injury. I think you have a great team. If you were 0-2, I'd want to sell Kittle on this team, but you're 2-0. Like, you can wait for Kittle to come back. You're 2-0. You can wait for the Aaron Jones depth piece to get added back. It's not like we have so much expendable depth where I can say, like, oh, yeah, let's go trade Kenneth Walker and Jalen Hurts for Lamar Jackson. Like, you don't have that much depth, especially after the injuries. So you have a phenomenal team. You're number 1 in the league analyzer. You're number 1 in the league standings. I think you cut Gainwell, you cut Hunter Renfrow, you pick up Ray Davis, you pick up Darnell Mooney, and then we probably call it a day there. I'm going to send you over some of those free questions just in case there's anything else that you have for us, my guy. But in reality, I think you're in a phenomenal spot. But yeah, congrats on having such a good team. And then, yes, I see Smokey is in this live stream, so we'll go ahead and we'll check out Smokey's team right now. If y'all are in this live stream and you have submitted a team review and you're like, hey, I would really like this right now, I don't want to wait until tomorrow, let me know in the chat that you're still here and let me know your username on the site. But Smokey says 1-1. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help me out rest of season. Appreciate your advice. Hook 'em, Flock Nation. Hook 'em horns, my friend. So we are Chubb Rub. We are currently 5th in the league analyzer. In terms of total points scored, we are right there in the middle of the league. We're 1-1, so we're right there in the middle of the league as well. Yeah, Jonathan, I think you're in a great spot. I wish I had more for you. But again, Kenneth Walker is trending upwards. Okay. Lil Skinny says, can you not get a team review without the season pass on the site. You can purchase a team review without the season pass on the site. I'll be honest with you, they're probably too expensive. I wouldn't do that. But not right now, just because we have questions turned off because we are too far behind. Okay, JP, Jordan, appreciate you. And I'll go ahead and I will get to that right after. Nate, I'll get to yours as well. Just please remind me if I forget. It's late and I'm running on fumes here. But for Smokey, let's go back and let's look at this. So we have a league in which we can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So I understand rostering a bunch of receivers here, but yeah, you got to change your construction. We got to change this. There's no world in which we would ever be able to sell Jonnu Smith for anything. There is a world in which Justin Fields could be a sell high candidate, considering the waiver wire options at quarterback with your league aren't the best. And you sprinkle on the fact that every team in the league is dealing with quarterback problems. So I would consider going through and cutting Jonnu Smith for Justin Fields, even if we have Jalen Hurts and we're starting Hurts every single week. Going over to running back, I don't know how you would ever put Dimey Brown in your lineup. Like, we actually just looked at this with somebody else. Cut Dimey Brown. He's really only a best ball option. And pick up Ray Davis. Like, Ray Davis, an injury occurs to James Cook. He's an auto start for you. For me, I would also consider dropping Romeo Doubs for Blake Corum, but that's not something that I think you have to do. Then going over and looking at what we have trade-wise. So we have Achane, Anchor RB1. For me, I'm not a big James Conner guy. If you watch the videos before the season, if you watch the streams before the season, you would see that I wasn't really drafting much James Conner. Instead, we were in on Benson. And based off what we've seen through the first few weeks, I kind of still stand by that as well. Looking at what we have with like a potential sell for James Conner, I mean, I would like to package together like, the thing is you don't have the wide receiver depth to sell. Like, who could you sell here? Devonta Smith, nobody's going to send you anything for him. Hollywood Brown, nobody's trading for him. So you'd be selling like Pickens. Like, I would flip James Conner in just like a 1-for-1 deal for a running back that we have ranked ahead of him. I'll show you what those running backs are. But I think structurally, there's no like easy advantage that we can have where we just have an additional running back that an additional wide receiver that people would trade for. Like, we don't have an expendable wide receiver here. That's interesting for people to trade for. So we're 1-1. So here's what I would do right now. I would sell James Conner for Amari Hampton. If the Hampton owner's panicking, give me Hampton over Conner. I would sell Conner for Javonte Williams. Trevion and James Conner are back-to-back for me. Because you're 1-1 and you actually need to start James Conner right now, I would hold on to Conner. I wouldn't sell him for Trevion. And then obviously any running back up here in the tiers would be an instant sell as well. And then, yeah, cut Diame, cut Jonnu, pick up Ray Davis for sure, and then pick up either Fields or Blake Corum. Try to flip Conner for one of those other RBs. And then outside of that, I think you're leaving this as is. I really appreciate you, my guy. And again, thank you so much for sticking with us this late tonight. Let me send you over some of those free questions just in case you have any follow-ups that you want here. And I'll be streaming for 5 hours tomorrow. So hopefully we can accept way more questions tomorrow. But yeah, because today we only had the questions open for like 15 minutes. And then we got this many sent in. So hopefully we'll be able to have them open longer. Appreciate you hanging out with us, my guy. And have a good night, Phil. And let's see. I know we have JP still in the chat, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll check out JP's team. The records and points aren't accurate. I manually put the rosters together on ESPN since I can't link from NFL Fantasy. That is hilarious, my guy. You could, in general, it maybe would be easier in the future to just submit screenshots. Whatever you want to do, but good to know. But I'm 1-1, point per completion, plus 40-point passing touchdown, 100 game bonuses. I traded Chase Igbuka Fannin for Neighbors Montgomery. I actually like the deal. I have a roster spot open now. I just wanted off Chase. Thanks, Goat. Appreciate you, my guy. We are third in the league analyzer. Again, we are 1-1. So it's not like we can just say like, oh, we need points right now, or we only care about points in the long term. But I would say in general, in a league in which it's a point per completion and you are getting big play bonuses like this, we do not want to optimize for the rushing upside at the quarterback position. We want the quarterbacks that can be at the top of the league with passing volume. So if we are looking at this, Justin Herbert's the perfect quarterback for this format. 4-point passing touchdown league, only 1 point per 25 passing yards, no big bonuses or anything like that. Herbert's not nearly as compelling, but here, Herbert is a phenomenal QB for this kind of league. Running back's not great, Chief. It's a 14-team format, so actually the 14-team league makes it much better. Looking at what we have available to us on the waiver wire, and Jordan says it's a 6-point passing touchdown format as well. Yeah, so Justin Herbert's like a perfect quarterback for this. Obrack says, are you holding your mic in your hand? Yes. My mic stand broke months ago, and I've been too lazy to buy a new one. So every video that we've recorded this year and every live stream, I've been holding the mic in the hand. But anyway, running back, I think Hampton's going to be fine, to be honest. We have Pollard as the workhorse in the short term. I'm more so concerned about Pollard in the long term. I have Pollard on my own team. I'd sell him for Hampton in a heartbeat. Looking at what we have with wide receiver, Neighbors, Tet, Pearsall. You said you had an open roster spot. If you have an open roster spot, pick up Caleb Johnson. I know Caleb Johnson at this point looks like just an absolute bum, but still. He's worth a roster spot in a 14-teamer. Wide receiver, we have Neighbors, we have Tet, we have Ricky Pearsall. I'd probably throw Keenan over Ricky Pearsall in the flex spot until we get Purdy back in. We have the elite tight end with Bowers. This is an incredible team. The only thing to mention with this team is upgrading at running back would be nice, but Cam Scadaboo looks like he's taking over as a starting running back for the Giants. So if we look at what we have with running backs at the moment, Amari and Hampton, I still very much think can be a running back one in a 14-team format. 14-team league, I think he can be a top 14 RB. Tony Pollard, even when Spears comes back, gives you the upside to be a top 28. Montgomery, Scat, Rashad White, all solid. We're third in the league analyzer here. We don't particularly, if we needed a position, it would be running back, but we don't exactly need one. I know I'm just speaking gibberish here. I'm sorry. I don't know if my brain's just fried, but I don't know what you could possibly do with this team. I think that this is an incredible team for this format. Even if Ricky Pearsall and Keenan Allen both turn into crushers, I would like to keep both of them because it's a 14-team format. We're going to have to go through the buys soon. So to have Montgomery as your RB3, Scadaboo as your RB4, your running back 4 is a starting running back in the NFL, and this is a 14-team league. Maybe you can eventually look to trade Scadaboo and Tony Pollard in a 2-for-1 deal. to get an upgrade to just a better RB2, that would be interesting just because you have so much depth here. And obviously 14 team format depth is going to be extremely difficult to come by. I think that's it. I think you have a great team. For us to still be this high in the league, even though we had Chase and then we ended up losing him. Do you have any questions, Jordan, specifically with this? Yeah, I think your running back room, the running back room's not the strength of the team. But Herbert's an elite quarterback in that format. Your wide receiver room's elite in a 14-team league. And tight end's elite there as well. So yeah, you're in a really, really good spot. So as long as you can get by at running back, you're fine. Should I roster another quarterback or tight ends? So 14-team league is a little bit more unique, right? Where I would say if everybody's rostering 2 QBs, right, it puts you in a little bit of an awkward spot where honestly you may just have to, but it looks like options on the waiver wire, there are plenty. So if you wanted to roster a second, it would be Caleb Williams. I'd be completely fine with it. And honestly, Caleb would probably be worth it would be a better use of a roster spot in a 14-teamer than Caleb Johnson. So I'd probably pick up Caleb Williams. Yeah. And then I wouldn't bother rostering another tight ends. If Loveland starts to show signs of life, we'd be quick to pick up Loveland, but that'd be about it. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, thank you so much for sticking with me for so long. Now, I think we are going to call it here. I keep on saying that, but now the stream's been about 3 hours. I will stream for 5 hours tomorrow to try to answer as many questions as I can. Again, I'm going to live stream every single day until Christmas answering questions. So, all you got to do is make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, we are on the path to 300,000 subscribers, doing everything we can. It's almost 1 a.m. here, and we'll still stream in. The fiance is not going to be super happy with me. I'll say that. But tomorrow I'm going to try to go live at about 3 p.m. Eastern so we can lead up like 5 hours all the way to kickoff. But I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And I really hope I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.